Call to order the, where are we? The Sparks City Council meeting of September 28, 2015, with a roll call, please.
Mayor Martini?
Here.
Council members Ratty? Here. Lawson? Here. Smith?
Here.
Bybee? Here. Schmidt? Absent. City Attorney Adams?
Here.
Acting City Manager Jeff Crunk?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay, if you'd all stand, please, for the invocation. We have with us today Pastor Barb West, Sparks Church of the Nazarene. Welcome. Barb, how are you?
Thank you, Mayor. Doing well. Thank you. Would you all join with me by bowing your heads? Our Heavenly Father, we do come to you thanking you for this beautiful day, and thank you for this gathering. And Father, you know all of the ones who have a comment that they'd like to make, so we pray that you would be with them. We thank you, too, for Mayor Martini and this fine council. And Lord, you know all of the things that our city needs. And so we pray that you would give wisdom to our leaders so that they would know what it is that is best for the city of Sparks. We thank you, Lord, for all of our responders, like our police, our firefighters, our EMTs, and pray a blessing and protection over them. And we pray that you would protect all of our school teachers as well as all of the students here in this great city called Sparks. God bless America, and God bless Sparks, Nevada. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thanks, Barb. Very good. Would you remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? Miss Ratty, would you lead us, please?
Please join me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next, before we go into public comment, I want to make one announcement. Public comment under number 4 and under number, where are we? 13.1 could speak about any item, whether it's on the agenda or not. The first readings, 9.8 and 9.9, when we come to those particular items, we will not be taking public comment. This is a first reading only. So if you want to talk about feral cats or chickens, you need to do it under item number 4 or item number 13.2. Okay?
And bees.
Pardon me?
And bees.
Yeah. The birds and the bees and all the good stuff. Okay. All right, everyone understand? So if you want to do one of those, you need to do it under probably number 4 or number 13.2. Okay? All right. Yes? 13.1. What? Okay, lost my head. There. Okay, I have the list here. First, Karen Jacobs. Come on, Karen. What's that?
That's next.
It's okay to speak.
I thought I did something wrong. You have 3 minutes.
Members of the council, Mayor Martini, my name is Karen Jacobs, for the record, and I'm a retired police officer, and I have an organization, Tactical Team for the Protection of Animals, All Animals, TTPA, and as you know what that is. I'm here today because I have been working with 3 different states other than Nevada on the feral cat situation. They've come across the same problem that the city of Sparks is this ordinance that you're trying to pass. So we have come up with some really great ideas that they have passed, and it's good for your city and for the cats. So I would like to meet, if possible, with a couple of your council members before the next meeting, the final meeting, and go over what we have come up with before the final viewing of this. Would that be possible?
Yeah, but you can meet with any member of the council. You just have to arrange that.
Yes.
Okay.
Two of them would be fine, or one?
Whatever you like.
Okay. Well, we have some really good ideas, and it's going to be...
We just can't have more than 2 meet at one time.
Pardon me?
We cannot have more than 2 council members meet at one time.
Okay.
Okay.
Understood. And who do I make that through?
Each individual council member, you can get a hold of them.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, have some great ideas, and it's good for the city of Sparks and for the Feral Cats.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor Bukem, would it be possible to ask that all that information is sent to the city attorney's office before meeting with the council? So we know what's happening, what proposals are coming on up? Because the last thing you want to do is make a proposal in 2 weeks, the city attorney determines it's illegal.
Yes, sir, I will get that information to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is John Rhodes. John? Welcome.
My name's John Rhodes. I'm a City of Sparks resident, live up at DeAndrea. And we've sent I'm also actually on the board there as well. We sent a letter in February, I believe, it was hand-delivered here, and we still have not had a response from that.
Do you have an attorney?
Huh?
Do you have an attorney representing you in this?
I don't have an attorney. We did. It was a letter from an attorney.
Yeah. So we can't meet with you. We can talk with your attorney.
Well, I think the attorney asked for a response. You haven't responded to the attorney. I mean, how much?
We'll deal with it with your attorney, sir.
Okay. That's unacceptable.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, if the board dismiss me. The other end is DeAndrea, the actual handbook, has restrictions on the grass has to be mowed, has to be kept safe, the sprinklers have to be maintained. We've sent numerous letters to Armando, and there's still a big fire hazard there.
Is that it, John?
Is that going to be addressed? I mean, who do we have to go to?
No, we don't normally have, we don't answer your questions during a 3-minute comment.
But if anybody responds to me, my time limit is open, correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah. So if there's a problem there, if there's a fire zone.
Who did you send the letters to, John?
They were hand-delivered here.
Are you talking about the original letters to the attorney? Okay,
Yeah.
then he'll talk to your attorney, and I can have Armando call you on the grass issue.
Would you?
Yes?
Beautiful. Thank you, sir.
Next up is Susan Rhodes. Welcome, Susan.
Excuse me if I'm nervous. I've never been here before, but again, my name is Susan Rhodes. I've been a resident of Sparks for 20 years. Right now, I am living at DeAndrea, and basically we're just here about the agricultural zoning ordinance. I guess the big question that most of us have is why are we changing zoning now, and why for a handful of people? After talking to some of you prior to this, it's become obvious to me that the chicken coop, deal, or owning chickens, the mess, the smell, the rodents, etc. And from what I understand, in the last couple of weeks I've talked to people about it. We already have a raccoon problem in a lot of the areas in Sparks. Why are we wanting chickens there so we can feed them and have more raccoons? So definitely against that. But as far as the bees and the beekeeping, as far as I know, beekeeping is a hobby, and I don't even think you have to be licensed to do it. So what happens when you stop and the bees just fly away? They just nest somewhere. So again, why would anybody want bees next to their home? But the big deal for us, even though we are in a covenant-controlled community, is why are our vineyards or orchards or whatever going to be allowed in these communities, and why would anybody want to be smelling the manure? Why would anyone want to deal with pesticides in Sparks, or the rodents, or all the problems that they serve? I know that there's a big grant right now out from UNR to put vineyards in, so I'm concerned that that's going to affect our city. Years and years ago, we went from being an agricultural area pretty much to a thriving city where people like to shop and open businesses and live. I certainly want to live here, but I don't want to live with pests and bees and raccoons and everything else that might come around because of this. So I guess what we're asking, is this the first step for master plan communities to actually have the zoning changed on those? So if your master plan community, like DeAndrea, the golf course closes, is somebody going to be able to change that zoning, make it from a golf course into a vineyard or an orchard or whatever. I'm just concerned this is opening a door by doing this now and passing this zoning to changing a lot of the different places that are in our city that we didn't sign up for this. If we wanted to live in an agricultural area, we could have moved to Spanish Springs or Gardnerville or Fernley or Fallon. So I've talked to other people here today, and they assured me that's not an issue, but they said that that would really have to come down to a legal issue that we'd have to address with the city attorney. So I guess that's the big question here. Is this the open door for somebody being able to change our zoning in our city to basically screw up all these golf courses and other places that have died or unfortunately are in bankruptcy or in looking like an eyesore? So that's the question I have for the city council. So please don't pass this. I mean, I don't want to open any doors to somebody being able to come in and change our community. Why go back in time? Nobody wants to shop at Legends while they smell manure. Nobody wants to open a business there, and I can't believe executives of Tesla want to live in an area that's filled with pesticides and the smell of manure and chicken coops and bees. So that's pretty much it for me, but thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, did you get that down, her question, and then we'll get back to her? Okay, good. Great. Oops, sorry. Carrie Parker?
Good afternoon, City Council, Mr. Mayor, City Attorney. My name is Carrie Parker. I'm a lawyer at Snell and Wilmer. I'm here on behalf of St. Mary's Regional Medical Center, and I have with me Deborah Simon, the Director of Managed Care Contracting Nevada. And I'm here on behalf of Agenda Item 9.7, the hospital contract. My colleague, Bill Peterson, sent a letter today to the city attorney as well as others, and I just wanted to hit on some of his points for your consideration. St. Mary's believes that the agreement under consideration for possible approval today is not part of the materials provided by the city council, provided to the city council, and that it is not appropriate for the city council to approve an agreement that they have not even seen. Also, St. Mary's questions the savings that are reported in the supporting material to your agenda item of approximately $600,000 for the 3-year period. We don't believe that there's enough detail provided to the City Council for you to make an informed decision as to these savings. What are these savings compared to? Compared to the current contract, compared to a proposal, compared to what? It just says savings. St. Mary's also believes that there was a calculation error in calculating the savings and encourages the City Council to question staff or whoever recommends that there are savings. St. Mary's also believes that the procurement process was not followed in this matter. The City of Sparks is a local government agency and is required to follow NRS Chapter 332. And the agenda item support material says that the city, along with Nevada Health Partners, issued the RFP. If the city is going to issue an RFP, it must follow NRS Chapter 332. We also believe that the proposed contract, at least our understanding of it, as we haven't seen it because it wasn't part of your support materials, requires tying of hospital services with third-party administrator services. We do not think that this is appropriate under the law or under the RFP that was issued. We also have concerns about the City of Sparks municipal code provisions for the procurement process and whether they were followed in this situation. We understand that Renown has asserted that hospital services are not required to be bid publicly under NRS Chapter 332. Our position is that third-party administrator services are not professional services under the exception for competitive bidding, and that they must be bid competitively, and it is our understanding that they were not in this situation. And I'm reporting to you that St. Mary's has communicated with Sparks managers that St. Mary's would meet or beat any competing proposal for hospital services. Given the 10-year excellent history between St. Mary's and the City of Sparks, we would hope that the City Council would consider this offer from St. Mary's.
Okay, Carrie, your 3 minutes are up, and I apologize. You spoke under public comment. You will be able to speak again under 9.7. I'm sorry I read this wrong. So if you want to stick around and speak under 9.7, you can do that again if you'd like.
Okay,
I'll give you that.
I've said what I meant to say. I
Okay.
appreciate the offer, and I will stick around if there are any questions.
Okay.
And also Deborah Simon is here if there are any questions for St.
Okay.
Mary's directly.
So I'll keep this. If you want to speak under 9.7, you're more than happy to. I'll be
Okay.
more than happy to let you.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry about that. Okay. Ardina Perry. You need to spruce up on your penmanship here, dear. Yeah, you're right. I'm Italian. What can I say?
Donald Trump impersonator. The first thing I want to address is the bees and the chickens. And I'm speaking as a resident of the Vistas, but not for the association in the Vistas. Susan said what we had planned much better than what we had written. The short form is what I heard from people is we have a lot of licensed daycare centers in Sparks, and I got a lot of concerns from people about the impact on their business as a licensed daycare if somebody slapped up an agricultural use next to it. So I'm listening to Gino. So in addressing the urban agriculture bill, the concerns I have heard from those who are aware of it concern the abandoned apiaries and when the newness wears off, and the same with chickens. There should never be any poultry allowed on any parcel that is not at least 4,000 square foot, with all poultry areas moved to the center of the parcel. And the reason for this is I love chickens. I grew up with chickens. They draw flies. And they chuckle. They kind of chortle around the yard, and they just chuckle. And if you like chickens, it's soothing. If you don't like chickens, you want to rip the door off the hinge. So, these are small lots. And I think that, because I've heard a lot of chicken people too, and I've invited them to come into my home, into my parcel in the Vistas, and they're coming in from their 3rd-acre parcels, and I went, oh my God, you don't have any room here. That's true. That's true. So there's nowhere that you can do urban agriculture without doing a serious impact on contiguous parcels, in my opinion. So, and getting to the free roaming cats and chickens, that's a combination. I got a call from a guy out in Sun Valley who the feral cats ate his chickens, so he's talking to his commissioner about. So that could be a self-limiting problem if we work that right. The feral cat bill, in my opinion, remains a property rights issue, and I feel that the city has been made aware of the problems with allowing others to use your land to feed cats and create health and safety issues. The county is already complicit in authorizing the use of my land by other people. And briefly, because I'm not sure about the time, okay. I know that I live in a homeowners association. I know that most of the people behind the rostrum live in a homeowners association. And I'm behind a shield. We don't allow feeding in the Vistas Homeowners Association. We don't. So this doesn't really, in that sense, impact those of us in the association. But it impacts a whole lot of people that really don't have a voice. And a lot of them don't know this is going on. I was talking to an assembly person. And she goes, oh my God, those cats that are driving my husband crazy at his business, are they on purpose? I said, oh yeah. And she's in the legislature. So I would ask, as well-meaning as these people are, please don't go in and negotiate the ability for another person to use my land or our parks, because I just don't think that's the council's to give away. Wasn't the commission's, not ours. Thank you.
In 2 weeks in the homeowners association versus city law, if the law is passed, which one trumps what in this particular issues for the homeowners association? If the law was passed to allow these things, does the homeowners association trump the city law on that basis? So we have an idea for them. Thank you.
You bet, sir. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Tracy.
Hi, my name is Tracy Sorolis, and I'm representing mostly my business at the time. So I'm here to support the TNR program for the feral cats. I'm speaking for my company, and we say as a business that we have feral cats, and we've had them for years, and some are less feral than others. We find them to be, strangely enough, an asset to our company. Mostly because of the morale for the employees and to keep the rodent population down in our area. We believe the TNR program has been beneficial not only to us, but it's an effective plan which does, which does reduce the future population of cats. If we remove or relocate the cats, then we would go from so-called feral problem, I would believe, into a rodent problem, and then we'd have a real potential health and safety hazard to contend with. Yes, unfortunately, the cats do interact with the at-risk species, so why make them out to be the bad guys? They're not, in my opinion. If the risk of rabies and other diseases come from somewhere else, why should they be the ones to be removed or exterminated? Now, I'm not trying to throw the other species under the bus, but it seems inconceivable that cats should have to pay the price because they're hanging out with the wrong crowd. And besides, where would there be a good place to relocate cats that they wouldn't be subjected to other species and their diseases? As far as contact goes, from my experience, cats go out of their way to avoid people. So there shouldn't be a chance that someone should be bit unless they're initiating a certain situation, provoking it. Also, I believe that if the ordinance is passed, this could be giving people the right to start killing cats randomly and disposing of them at their will. And not just because they're afraid of the law and the liability for stray cats and ferals to be on their property. And to me, that doesn't seem like a humane or lawful way to deal with the situation. Also, if it wasn't for the community cats, the Humane Society, most people would not be able to afford to have the animals spayed and neutered. And so they're a great program, and it helps out the community in that way a lot. So we're able to have them fixed and maintained. So I'm getting off track here. Sorry. Anyways, my last thing is if we should continue to support the TNR program and allow the system to run its course, to be a success rather than accusing the cats of being the disease carriers and removing and destroying them altogether only because they reside and so-called trespass on property that they're not paying taxes on. Overall, the program will eliminate future colonies and not overpopulate our already stressed and crowded shelters with cats that will not be lucky enough to find permanent homes. These cats didn't ask or set out to be homeless. They are just more adapted to be outdoors and within their colonies. So please reconsider the ordinance and allow them to live out their lives, the remaining lives as cats.
Thanks, Tracy. Kimberly Wade.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Wade from Nevada Humane Society, and we are here in support of the Trap, Neuter, Return, also known as TNR program in Sparks. And we do feel as a whole that the proposed ordinance should be disapproved, therefore allowing Washoe County's feral cat program to exist in Sparks. Currently, feral cats in Washoe County are not being euthanized. If this ordinance passes, the ultimate change will that these cats will be losing their lives. NHS, along with hundreds of animal groups nationwide, have proven that removing feral cats doesn't work. Catching and killing is ineffective, outdated, and cruel. TNR is truly the only humane, effective approach to care for community cats. All the cats that go through our program are spayed or neutered, vaccinated, and ear-chipped before being returned back to their home outdoors. NHS is funded by grants and donations, which enable us to provide much-needed services to local families. Most recently, we were awarded over $200,000 for 89431, and over 1,000 animals benefited from that program. Additionally, we've received over $2.5 million to fund our programs. Should this ordinance pass, the life-saving enjoyed by our community will drop below 90%, which then puts us in jeopardy for losing all of that funding, which means we will no longer be able to help the community in need. More than 300 residents of Sparks are currently involved in TNR, and by doing so, they are actively helping to reduce the population of feral cats. For the past 8 years, NHS has operated and funded an aggressive spay-and-neuter program, and today the result is a 37% decrease in our cat population. If the ordinance passes, the cat population will once again increase, especially if the free, privately funded TNR services are no longer available. In concern with feral cats attracting animals who transmit rabies, the cats are vaccinated with the rabies at the time of spay or neuter, and the Washoe County Health Department reports that there are no recorded cases of rabid cats in Washoe County for several decades. In concern with the diseases that could be contracted or spread by feral cats, the CDC cites the biggest contributor to salmonella outbreaks is in fact our food supply. Infectious diseases can only spread from cats to humans with direct contact with the cat or its feces, and ultimately feral cats tend to stray from humans themselves. In regards to the concern on wildlife, people are truly the cause of that wildlife depletion. Studies show that overwhelming causes of wildlife and bird death are habitat loss, urbanization, pollution, and environmental degradation, all caused by people, not cats. Finally, though we do support the feral cat program within Washoe County, should this ordinance pass, we want you to consider this. A substantial number of pet cats will be trapped and euthanized. Imagine the uproar from the community if this happens. The financial cost to successfully reduce the feral cat population through catch and kill will be millions upon millions of dollars. Who is going to pay for this? What is the cost of the enforcement, and is this ordinance enforceable at all? And finally, who determines if these cats are feral? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Brittany Evers.
Hi, thank you for squeezing me in. I have to go get my son from school, so I didn't know I had to fill out the form to talk to you guys. I have chickens in my yard. I know lots of people who have chickens in their yard, and we love them. They don't make any more noise than the doves that you can't get rid of, or the dog down the street that you can't stop barking all night long. And my chickens, I don't have any roosters. My chickens only make noise when they lay an egg, which is productive to me and my family because myself, my husband, and our 3 children are able to eat what they provide for us. So we really love our chickens, and we keep them clean. We scoop out their coop every week, and we then reuse that in our garden, which is great for bees, too. I didn't realize bees were not, good, but they're great. They help produce our food, which a lot of people don't realize. If you don't have bees, you won't have food. So, the chicken manure helps the bees and the plants grow and everything. So it all kind of goes together. So I'm, really want everybody to have chickens. It's great. Sure, put limitations on how many you can have. No roosters because they're, awake at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's obnoxious. But, the chickens are great. And we've never had any problems with rats or mice or there are flies, but you can put up bags to collect the flies. Maybe have that be a requirement. Have a bag to get the flies so that they don't bug everybody. But other than that, I'm in support of chickens. Thank you.
That's Brittany. Yeah. Charlene Hadwin.
Good afternoon. I'm Charlene Hadwin, Executive Director of the SPCA of Northern Nevada. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk today. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. City Attorney. The SPCA is an innovative regional leader in the responsible treatment of homeless dogs and cats, primarily through their rescue and placement in forever homes, and by promoting and spaying and neutering to control pet overpopulation. The SPCA recognizes that the feral cat issue involves different kinds of stakeholders, including cat advocates, animal lovers, bird lovers, health professionals, and landowners. We encourage a collaborative approach to identify strategies that can be broadly supported while effectively facilitating a long-term, sustainable, humane effort to reduce the presence of outdoor cats and encourage more responsible pet ownership and pet care practices. We believe that the TNR program is and should remain an important component of this overall formula. We also recognize there are many different ways to conduct TNR, and believe that the strategies guiding such a program should be based on good evidence and on best practices that have been developed at a national level as well as here in the state of Nevada. The strategy should also be responsible to the reasonable concerns of a broad array of stakeholders. We have provided some information to the City Attorney's Office that we've asked that you take a look at and incorporate some of these strategies as you're considering this ordinance this afternoon. And once again, I'd like to encourage that we be part of the conversation to help guide, be part of the guiding principles to help preserve feral cats and to work together so that we do not create a large euthanasia program for these cats in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie Kane.
Hi, I'm here to support the backyard chicken ordinance. I do have chickens. I've had them for 4 years. I have a really nice coop in my backyard. They don't make any noise like the other lady said. Excuse me, I'm nervous. Unless they lay an egg. And that can be, depending on the chicken, anywhere from 10 seconds to 30 seconds, which is a lot less than my neighbor who has a dog that barks continuously. Just barks, but it's a dog. I think you have to have a little bit of tolerance towards other people and what they love. I love my chickens. They don't smell. I don't have rodents. They don't wander around the yard clucking at neighbors. I can't explain to you how important this is to me. They're a great stress reliever for me. I come home, I watch my chickens. It's you know, I don't have much of a life, I'll admit. But I do have my chickens so far. And I use what's called a deep litter method. And it's where you put shavings in the bottom of the coop and it catches the feces, and it doesn't smell. It doesn't create flies if you use this method. But like the other lady said, there are methods. You can get things from even Amazon, and it has a trap inside that attracts the flies, and they go in there, they die. I'd really like to keep my chickens. I got them 4 years ago. I checked with Washoe County before I got them. Washoe County said that it was allowed. So when Sparks came to me and told me that it wasn't, I was angry, upset, freaked out that I was going to lose my chickens. I only have 5 chickens. That can't create an issue for a neighbor. I have almost a quarter of an acre of lot, and they're in a little coop. I don't understand what the problem is with this. So I thank you for your time, and thank you for listening, and I hope you pass it.
Thank you. Marnie DeGregory. Okay, I'm sorry. I got the first name right, though, didn't I? I remember your email.
Right. Yeah. Hi, thank you for seeing me, and I am here to support the chickens. I see no reason why a person can't have 2 to 4 chickens. I can understand a limit, absolutely. But I do not see how they are any louder or any dirtier than a dog in the backyard. A dog, I have 2 neighbors and each has a dog, and they stay out at night and they bark and they bark and they bark. But chickens are not that loud. They cluck like everybody's saying. They lay an egg, they sing their song, and they're done. They eat bugs, they recycle, you use their manure, and you have a beautiful garden out of it. So people love their chickens, let them have them. They're beneficial. There's nothing bad about them. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all the speaking cards I have. Anyone else under number 4? Pardon me?
Oh, that was my fault. I thought the lady that was talking was Deborah Banks. That's
Okay. No.
She's on the bottom there.
Come on up. We'll find you. Okay. Come on up, Deborah.
No, I'm still not good at the dog food. I have a little bit of homework here for you guys. You've got gotten a very one-sided viewpoint of the whole trap, neuter, release, trap, neuter, return, and monitor from the people who, and that's for the website. It's a simple. So a little bit of reading. I wanted to give you a little bit of time, or a little bit of answers to the exhibits that were on the website. These are answers to it. Also, I want to point out there was no signature on the Endow letter, so anybody could have written that letter. It's not official without a signature, and there's also a typo at the bottom. We all have that one neighbor that no matter what you do, you drive them crazy. You could just start your car in the morning and you drive them crazy. If you do this zoning change against feral cats, you're going to open up feuding, the likes which have never been seen since the Hatfield and McCoys. Because you always have that one neighbor that's never going to be happy. And guys, cats are allowed to roam free in Nevada. How are you going to tell whether it's a feral cat, a stray cat, or someone's pet cat? So you stop feeding cats. You stop providing shelter. What happens? Well, they're going to be hanging around garbage cans. They're going to be looking for food. They're going to be catching more wildlife because they're hungry. They're going to start procreating because nobody's spaying and neutering. Nobody's taking care of them. So you're going to have a much bigger cat problem on your hand if you just say, okay, stop doing it. Fine, stop doing it. But you're going to have a whole lot more cats, and you're going to have a whole bigger problem. The other problem is, as the lady from the Nevada Humane Society stated, they will lose their funding. And I want to talk about some of the programs that the Nevada Humane Society provides. It's in your packet, but I'd like to read it into the record. Seniors for Seniors is a program that's adoption program that matches senior citizens with senior dogs. GI dogs, we can all, say that's a great thing, providing dogs for disabled veterans or veterans that suffer with PTSD. Pets for Life in Action. And they go into a neighborhood, an underserved neighborhood, and they provide free medical service, free spay and neuter, free things. Here is a quote from someone: "I just can't believe Nevada Humane Society is providing these services for our community. No one comes out here to offer help like this. I've been calling my friends and family to come down with my pet." As we know, spaying and neuter stops abandonment because they stop the bad behaviors. Affordable spay and neuter, $20. Special for dogs. They have that special, $40 normally. Angel Pets, where they find forever homes for animals that have terrible medical conditions, and they pay for some of the medical treatment. So they find a home, and they're not euthanized just because they might have diabetes or a thyroid problem or something that's very expensive to treat. This will all go away if you pass this zoning ordinance. I'm proud of the Nevada Humane Society and the work they've done, and the Washoe County Regional Animal Services. Please do not pass this zoning bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I have no more cards. Okay, that's the end of public comment under number 4. Okay, number 5.
Mayor Gino,
Pardon me?
excuse me, I have 2 that I need to read into the record.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I won't read the entire thing. They will be put into the record, though. We have one from Mr. Mark Peralta, Executive Director, Best Friends Animal Society, LA, and he is opposed to Bill number 2695. And we have one that is from Ms. Karen Boger, and she is in support of Bill 2695. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, number 5, approval of the agenda. Anybody want to take anything out of order? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chet.
Mr. Mayor, if you would allow me to do so, I believe it's, and I'm off my agenda now, I'm preparing a legal opinion. Agenda item 9.7 follows 9.596, which has to do with the cessation of a contract with different entities. Depending on how the council goes on 9.7, it may not be wise to cancel those contracts before we deal with 9.7. In other words, if we cancel the contract, then you decide to not approve 9.7. Now we're going to be stuck in a position where we have no contracts regarding healthcare. So if you could move 9.7 up before, I think it's
Okay, good
9.
point. Good point, Chad. Thank you. Anyone else? So if you make a motion, please, with that amendment. Mr. Lawson.
Approve the agenda by moving 9.7 right after 9.4.
Okay. Second, Mr. Schmidt. Second. Motion by Mr. Lawson, seconded by Mr. Schmidt to approve the agenda as amended. Everyone understand the amendment? Okay. Any questions? Please vote. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, Chet. Appreciate that. Number 6.1, consideration and possible approval of the minutes of regular Sparks City Council meeting of September 14, 2015. Any amendments, corrections, deletions? Looking for a motion. Ms. Bybee.
Move to approve the minutes.
Mr. Smith.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Smith to approve the minutes of the meeting of September 14, 2015. Any further discussion? See none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, number 7, announcements, presentations, items of special interest. Number 1 is a proclamation, Reno Sparks goes to College Week. Yikes. Someone here to accept that? Come on up, please. You know, I hate to say anything, when I went to college, it took me more than a week.
Right. That's not just going to college. We just want to recognize the important work that our educators do in supporting our kids and recognizing post-secondary options. And so I thank you for recognizing the week of November 2nd to the 6th as Reno Sparks Goes to College week. And then our culminating event is the Reno College Fair on Sunday, November 8th at UNR's campus. It's a free event, so everyone is welcome to come and bring your kids and check out the post-secondary options.
Okay, bonus fact, took me 8 years. And I didn't become a lawyer or a doctor, which is the sad part. But
That was kindergarten.
yeah, kindergarten, yeah. Okay, proclamation. Whereas the Washoe County School District Counselors, in cooperation with the Western Association for College Admissions Counselors, will be holding their annual college fair on Sunday, November 8th, 2015, at UNR in the Joe Crowley Student Union from 12 to 4 p.m. And whereas every year over 2,500 students and parents attend this event to meet with admission counselors from nearly 100 colleges and universities and attend financial aid and college information workshops. And whereas the purpose of the fair is to inspire our students to further their education and to introduce them to the college search and selections processes. And whereas at the college fair, students and parents can speak directly to admission counselors, learn about the college application and financial aid processes, and ask questions about degree programs and campus offerings. Now, therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim the week of November 2nd through the 6th, 2015, as Reno Sparks Goes to College Week in and for the City of Sparks, Nevada, and encourage all students and parents to participate in this event to become more informed of the educational opportunities to secure a successful future for our area's youth. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your support. Thank you. Can we get your name for the record? Christy Smith. Thank you. I'll serve it.
Okay, next is proclamation Fallen Firefighter Week. Chief. Okay, whereas the United States Congress and the President of the United States have designated the day of annual National Fallen Firefighters Memorial Service as a day to honor firefighters and emergency services personnel who have sacrificed their lives to save others by lowering the American flag on all federal buildings to half-staff. And whereas an average of 100 firefighters courageously make the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty each year. And whereas the events of September 11, 2001 brought national attention to the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices faced by fire and emergency services personnel on a daily basis. And whereas firefighters and emergency services personnel play an essential role in the protection of lives and property in our local community. Whereas the National Memorial Service marks the beginning of and the annual Fire Prevention Week observance. And whereas it is of major importance that we increase our efforts to reduce deaths, injuries, and property losses from fire. Now, therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, now call upon all citizens of the City of Sparks and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the day of October 4th, 2015 in recognition of the patriotic service and dedicated efforts of our fire and emergency services personnel by lowering American flags on all buildings to half-staff. I encourage appropriate services and ceremonies in which all of our citizens may participate to honor fire and emergency services personnel, past and present, who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to duties, have rendered invaluable service to our community and its citizens. I further call upon citizens of the City of Sparks to remember all fire and emergency personnel who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community and to pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes.
Mayor Martini, City Council members, for the record, Tom Garrison, Sparks Fire Chief. In 2015, so far, 58 line-of-duty deaths have occurred in the United States. On August 8th, one hit particularly close to home as Michael Hallenbeck, a U.S. Forest Service firefighter, lost his life fighting a fire in Lake Tahoe. It's no secret that firefighting is dangerous. It's no secret that Sparks Fire Department is very aggressive fighting fire to prevent property loss. But even with all the risks, you can be assured that your fire staff will never believe in the notion that losing your life is just part of doing the job. We constantly adjust our operations to make sure everybody goes home safe. Now for this year, at the pancake breakfast this weekend, in Michael Hallenbeck's name, a portion of all the entry fees to the First Alarm 5K run, the run that will occur that morning at the pancake breakfast, will be donated to the National Fallen Firefighters Memorial Foundation in his name. So again, thanks for this proclamation. I know that we need to honor and respect the people who have made the ultimate sacrifice. My hope is that someday this proclamation we don't need to give out anymore. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. I'm looking at Bob King because Proclamation Fire Prevention Week. Thanks, Bob. This looks like something we do every year, isn't it?
A couple years in a row.
Proclamation, whereas the City of Sparks is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our community. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at the greatest risk for fire. And 3 out of 5 home fire deaths result from fires in properties without working smoke alarms. And whereas home fires killed 2,755 people in the United States in 2013, according to the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, the fire departments in the United States respond to 369,500 home fires. And whereas half of home fire deaths result from fires reported at night between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. when most people are asleep. And the City of Sparks residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room outside each separate sleeping area and on every level of the home. And whereas first responders for the city of Sparks are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas the 2015 Fire Prevention Week theme, hear the beep where you sleep. Great. Every bedroom needs a working smoke alarm. Efficiently or effectively services to remind us that we need working smoke alarms to give us time to get out safely. Now, therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim October 4th to the 10th, 2015 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the city, and I urge all people of the City of Sparks to install smoke alarms in every bedroom, outside each sleeping area, and on every level of the home, including the basement, and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the City of Sparks Fire and Emergency Services during Fire Prevention Week 2015. Thanks, Bob.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Fire Marshal Bob King for record. Thank you very much for once again reading this proclamation. Yes, this is my 21st year here with this proclamation, but these proclamations actually started back in 1925. That's how long we've been doing this, been trying to spread the word out there for fire prevention in our communities. It started way back when we really didn't have a lot of fire prevention and we had a lot more fires out there. So ever since then, we've been trying to spread the word. Each year, the proclamation is a little different. And unfortunately, the new theme for the next year usually comes from what happened the prior year, the most amount of fires, and then they think, okay, now we have to get out there and educate people on this aspect of fire prevention in communities. So this year, the Hear the Beep Where You Sleep, Every Bedroom Needs a Working Smoke Alarm dives right into the middle of our Project Safe program, which is fantastic. So we're able to utilize this theme this year with our Project Safe program and just extend it further to get the word out. And that's what we plan on doing this year. I know I've mentioned it before, but just for record real quickly again, we've been into 1,057 homes. We've installed over 3,128 smoke alarms, 56 hearing impaired devices, and 682 carbon monoxide detectors because of our program that meets this theme. So it's working. We've had some saves. It's been doing a really good job. So it's a great theme for us to work on this year. Of course, every year we like to kick off Fire Prevention Week with a bang. And on October 3rd, we will have our 26th annual Pancake Breakfast Open House to invite the public to our fire station so they can come in and have a wonderful breakfast with all the firefighters and get to see the station, get tours of the fire station, get educated in many different aspects of all the services that we provide for the community while they're there. We've been told many times that don't you ever get rid of this open house because people really like coming to it to learn about the different services we do. We'll have car extrication, a kitchen demo, the fire safety trailer for kids to go through, Sparky the fire dog. We have a puppet show that actually is put on by one of our own fire inspectors, which is a really good puppet show that spreads the word on education as well. It's just a fantastic event. It's October 3rd from 8 a.m. till noon. Our price has not changed since I've been here. We still have the same price of $5 for adults and $2 for children and seniors. So it's really not meant for us to have it's not a big fundraising event. It's meant for the public to come in and see their fire department and meet their firefighters and personnel and get to learn a lot. So we know that we have quite a few of you that are coming out and helping us cook the pancakes and that as well, and we really appreciate that. So this is just a big invite to everyone that's watching to come on out to our fire station and have a very good time that morning with the family. This year, our parking has changed. I wanted to make sure I got that out there. Because of a new big development that we have on Victorian Square, we now will have our parking at the west parking lot of the Nugget. just behind RTC on the other side of the freeway is the west parking lot of the Nugget. The Boys and Girls Club, once again, will be supporting us with a shuttle bus. So that's the best place to park. Jump on the shuttle bus, come on over, and it just keeps going all morning, so you can jump back on it anytime you want. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for the proclamation.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. It's great. It's great fun. So, I'm telling all the people out there, there's a lot of them out there, come out to the pancake breakfast and come early because Mr. Schmidt and I will be on the griddles from 8 to 9, I believe.
Yes, sir.
So you better come out early for the best pancakes. We're
9 to 10.
we're veterans.
9 to 10. They're heating up the stove.
I'm telling you, 8 to 9. I'm telling you, best pancakes. So anyway, come out anytime up to noon. It's a great event. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, consent items. Anybody want to pull one? Okay, looking for a motion. Mr. Smith.
Move to approve all of them, 8.1.
We have a second. Ms. Bybee. Second. Moved by Councilman Smith, seconded by Councilwoman Bybee to approve 8.1. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, general business 9.1, presentation, discussion, and possible direction on the results of the 2015 Public Citizen Survey. Ms. Cluett.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Council. For the record, I'm Kathy Cluett, Senior Admin Analyst in the City Manager's Office. And I'm here today and pleased to present the results of the 2015 Sparks Citizen Survey. Feel free to ask questions as we're going through. It's all pretty self-explanatory. This is a phone survey that we do. This was conducted over 3 nights in July up at the EOC Center up off of Park. We actually pull the voter database from Washoe County, which you can see how many people that we got on the list. We called over 30% of them. OOS means out of service, so that those were 1,800, almost 1,900 lines of those phone calls that we made. It was either out of service or they just didn't answer it anymore. So we actually it takes a long time to get our 510 responses out of those 6,400 phone calls. It's a pretty good response rate, and it's a 95% confidence level. So for the number of phone calls that we make, we're pretty satisfied with in each ward of who we get to response and to get our data. The first question that we ask people is, what is your overall perception of quality of life in Sparks? You can see it's still very high. 92% of all those callers said they like being in Sparks. These were some questions about what do they think are some of the major concerns for the city. They think growth of jobs, we're doing a really good job. Population growth, they don't think we're growing too fast, we're doing it the right amount. And for retail growth, they like the percentage of retail growth that we have here in the city.
Hey, Kathy? The growth of jobs, either I'm not seeing it correctly, but it looks like 62% says we're too slow. Is that what that says, or am I not reading the colors correctly?
That is probably, no, I think it's correct. They don't think, they think it's, they don't, yeah.
Think we're too slow in creating jobs?
Yeah, but they also, a lot of the comments were, they know that there's not a lot that personally Sparks can do about it.
Okay.
But they think we're on the right track.
Okay.
But they, everybody thinks that it's too slow.
Sure. Thank you.
Any more? These are 5 questions that we've been asking for the most part since 2009. The 2 that were floated to the highest this year were education in schools and traffic congestion. As a reminder, the population has been relatively flat from the survey the last time we did this, which was 2 years ago. Traffic congestion rose to the top as a city concern. What a lot of people, the comments that we got for education in schools were, they're very concerned about it, but they know we have very little to do with it. They know it's the school district. They know that the city cannot so far, go in and do things at the school district to make a really huge impact. They know it's up to the school district, but it's a big concern for them. It floated. They're still very concerned about what's going on with the schools. Gang activity and graffiti dropped a lot. And that's what I just said, that they know we don't have any control over the education, but it is a concern for them. Most of their concerns for traffic congestion were lights. There were a lot of people in their comments that were, I sit at lights a lot, and why are they not synchronized? Why do I keep getting stopped at all of them? Perception. The next question was a new set of questions that we asked this year. It was how concerning their neighbors and their neighborhoods. The sense of community is stronger than expected, which is something that the city can really build upon. People really do want to know their neighbors. They want to get involved in their neighborhoods, and this was true throughout all the wards. They all did have a sense of strong community. They liked their communities, and thank goodness, overwhelmingly, a lot of them had a sense of pride in their neighborhood. This is a question that we've asked for a number of surveys in a row. We still do very well walking alone in business areas after dark. People feel very safe in the city of Sparks. Doesn't matter whether it's in their business area or in their neighborhood. And actually from 2013, feeling safe in your business area after dark got safer by 10 percentage points. So that was a good thing. Public safety service. This has to do with police and fire. To be honest with you, I didn't pick these colors. When I did the graph, this is what it picked, which I thought was pretty funny, so I left it. People are very happy with our police and fire services. And one of the questions that was asked was, have you experienced a crime? We didn't ask that question this year. That had been a question that we'd always asked before. And one of the questions that where this is extrapolated from is police, we asked them, have you had any contact, good, bad, or indifferent? It was just, have you had contact with the police? 126 people said yes, and that was about 25% of all the people that were surveyed. Fire was the same question. Have you had any contact with fire, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent? And it was 57 contacts said they had, which was only about 12%. This set of questions was all to do with parks and recreation. In general, citizens were very protective of their neighborhood parks. It was amazing to me in a lot of the comments. People really like their neighborhood parks. They walk their dogs there. They love going there with their children and their grandchildren. And they are very protective of them. If they see something they don't like, they have a tendency to really contact the Parks and Rec Department. I'm sure Ms. Dominguez will back me up on that one. They also, in this time of drought, there were a lot of comments made about watering and graffiti and how they really do like to watch it for us because they're out there all the time. And they appreciate that we respond to them. Might not necessarily get back to them, but they can see that the graffiti has been taken care of or watering has been changed or trees have been taken care of. So they appreciate that. Overall satisfaction with the city, it's still pretty high, 86%, and this is just a general question that's asked. What is your overall satisfaction with the quality of service in the city of Sparks? These are,
it dropped 2 points since 2013. I was just wondering when residents were talking to you, since it's dropped just a little bit. I mean, it's still a good rating, but what were there any specifics that people were specifically addressing of what they were not happy with?
Nothing jumped out in their comments. You can see that it was very high before the recession.
Can you go back one?
Sorry.
There you go.
It was very high before the recession.
Yeah.
And there's a general notice of, they know that we're down a lot of employees, and they know that there just aren't as many people out there doing what they used to do before the recession. But they're still very happy with the service that they actually see and get. But to answer your question of how it dropped 2 points, I can't answer that. There wasn't anything specifically pointed out.
Okay, thank you.
And these were some of the questions that were asked after we'd asked that, what's your overall quality how happy are you with the city services? We specifically asked about code enforcement, graffiti removal, street repair, street cleaning. Storm response is a new one. It had never been phrased that way before, so storm response, if they asked what does that mean, we said flood control, snow removal. We grouped it all in there. If you'll remember, when this survey was done, it was during when all those floods were going on and we were having all the rain. And so people were still pretty high on the fact that Sparks was being very proactive after the flooding. And as that points out, I forgot I had more there. Graffiti removal, if it was seen as a problem, has really dropped. It dropped 15%. So they're not seeing as much graffiti, and they are happy with our services of getting rid of the graffiti that they do report. Everybody's very happy with our parks. Passive interactors are walking and jogging. Those are the two highest uses that our parks get from people. The next question we asked was if you'd ever contacted the city. This is a new question for this survey. There were 510 respondents all over for the entire survey. 117 people said they had contacted the city for something. We weren't specific about what it was that you contacted them for. But if you'd contacted the city, was the city helpful with a resolution? Those are the numbers that you're seeing. So overall, the city, 117 contacted, 71 were very helpful or thought the city was helpful with the resolution, which is a 61%. So we can definitely probably build on that. Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a new question.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it requires a little more detail, but I'm going to tie it back to Councilwoman Bybee's question. Trying to look at this and say 117 people complained and 71 felt that the resolution, the city was helpful in the resolution. So that means 40-some people, 46 people have said the city was not helpful in the resolution. Is there a way next year on the survey, or 2 years, whenever we do it, as a side note, to be able to drill down at that point? Because I think that starts developing into departmental problems. We can start identifying solutions if we know what the problem is. Why does almost half, 40% of the people think that the city was not helpful in dealing with their issue?
And that's a good question, and we were trying to make it general and just not have a litany of supposed complaints. I have to be honest, a lot of these were not even complaints. They were that they had contacted the city to report a pothole, or they contacted customer service. And some of those answers that you're looking for, I think we can pull that off of the website when people go in and ask questions on the website.
I just think a simple follow-up question that can go to the notes is, what was the issue that you don't have to
you were not satisfied.
To go into detail, just what was the issue? If it's something as simple as potholes, then we know that, okay, that 60% of our issues are potholes, and those are being taken care of. If we're having development issues, building issues, code enforcement issues, a really nasty, engagement with the city, those are things that I think, one or two questions afterwards can pick on up, and because, this right here of all the slides is the one that concerns me the most.
Okay.
And because we have 40% of our people who contact city for whatever reason saying we were not helpful in the situation. And I don't know if you meant to phrase the question that way or not, but that means that 40% of our issues are not resolved. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Kathy, does that mean 61% of the people contacted or were contacted? What does that mean exactly?
It's 61% felt that we were helpful
That were helpful?
with whatever it was that they had a question about.
So this chart, the same one he's talking about, is a little bit hard
Okay.
because, let's take Ward 1. No, I'll take Ward 3. Yeah, sorry. Ward 3, 63% of the respondents contacted the city. 12 out of 19.
We're happy with
We're happy
the
with
resolution.
it. I mean, it just looks like 63, 55, 54 is all down the bottom, but on this one chart, 60 would be way up here. It doesn't really matter where and I'm just, if you have 19 people that you contacted, that would be at the top of the chart. You follow me?
No.
Okay, so
Down on the left is the number of people.
no, I get that. I'm just saying that this 63% is still 63%, whether it's 63 out of 100 or 12 out of 19.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that the line you have showing there is 20%. 20 people.
Right. That's the number of people.
Okay.
The left is the number of people.
I'll just shut up then.
Sorry. Yes.
Kathy,
Moving on.
Kindergarten.
Good.
follow up on that. You said that the people, these are people who contacted the city, but on this it says you contacted the city to resolve a problem. So they weren't people who were just calling to inquire about a business license or what our regulations were, what our hours were, or how to volunteer. They were specifically asked, did you contact to resolve a problem? So we know there was a problem that's separate from just a regular contact. Is that right?
Yes, and we did not drill down to what the problem was.
Okay,
So
okay.
we don't know.
But it was an issue they were looking for a resolution.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
These are, excuse me, this is a question that we've always asked since 2009. Pretty self-explanatory. Any questions about attending a government meeting or watching the government meeting?
Final comment. Really surprised that we're not doing a better job. You're looking, on a course over 6 years, we barely moved that needle. I think that's something IT's got to really take a look at here, because our cost of doing business is exactly the same as it was 6 years ago in trying to handle issues instead of using technology to help promote things. That is an eye-opener.
The next one says, how do you conduct your business? It says,
Thank you. I know there's nothing with the report, it's just a
Especially
general
go to the
comment.
next slide.
And some of the comments that we did get about watching the meetings was that people said they would actually like to watch them, but they don't have either access to cable or they can't afford it, so they can't watch it. This was a new question, which is sort of following up on the internet question. This is how people said they would prefer to get information about the city. I was a little surprised that the sewer bill was that low, because I figured everybody got it, so I thought maybe they would, want to read things on there. The internet and the newspaper were the top two. Snail mail was close behind. Knowing the age disbursement of the survey takers, which is coming up in the next slide, it was still surprising that no one mentioned Twitter as a way to keep up with city information. There wasn't one response of yes for that.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're not on it.
What's a Twitter?
Yeah.
You guys don't.
How do I get to be a Twitter?
That would be a tweet, but
Ask
that's okay.
Julie and I'll explain that later.
These are two questions that we have asked for years as well. Consolidated, and the question is, actually, because I've had somebody wanted to know specifically what the question was for this, how it was asked. And the question for consolidated government was just yes or no. Would you consider and support having one consolidated government for all of Reno, Sparks, and Washoe County? So it was just a yes or no. Or don't answer, but it was yes or no. If they asked, what do you mean by all? The response was, this would include fire, police, parks, recreation, sewer, street maintenance. And then the question for sustainability was, are sustainability, green technology, and environmental issues important to you? And that keeps going up.
Yeah. Got it.
And two of the last questions that we'd always ask people, these two slides are fairly self-explanatory. They lived in Sparks for 11 to 20 years. That's going up a little bit compared to what it used to be. And we do and continue to have an older demographic. But what a lot of the comments were, I've lived in Sparks a long time. I would never move. I just got here a little while ago. I'm never moving. I actually lived here, moved to Reno, couldn't wait to come back to Sparks. And you'll see that in the comments that you got in your word printouts. People are very happy when they get to Sparks. They really like the way we run the city. So this doesn't happen by just one person. We actually hire 14 staff to come in. I sit all 3 nights and make phone calls as well. It's conducted over the 3 weeknights. We do it up at the EOC because they have computers and the phones, and so it's pretty easy to set this thing up and get it going. Thank you, kudos to Rich Brown, Senior Systems Analyst. He actually designed this whole entire system. He takes the voter database, scrambles it, and it's actually very, very interesting when this goes on. Somebody's on the computer and they hit the enter key and up comes their screen and up comes their phone number, and it's already been parceled out by ward. And the system just sits there and keeps track, and it chugs through it. And then as soon as it hits 100 callers, successful calls for a ward, it stops dialing that entire ward. And it just drops to the next 4, then the 3, then 2, then 1. So it's actually very interesting how it works, and it's pretty cool. By the last night, the last 4 people that are on the phone, everybody's just like, yay, because they know they finally hit the numbers. Because literally all the computers lock up. They won't even give you anything else. It knows it's done. So it's pretty cool.
Great. And the questions, Julia Ratty.
Do you know the phone numbers that it's generating, are they only fixed lines, or do they include cell phone numbers?
They include cell phone. And the first question that's asked, actually, when the screen comes up is, do you still live in Sparks? And are you over 18? So if either one of those are a no, we don't go forward with the call.
Mr. Lawson.
So how do you get their cell phone numbers?
If they've put it in when they've registered to vote. That's where the numbers come from.
So that's the only way.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the future, we need to look at some other ways to reach out that's obviously quite slanted to the older generations. And with our changing demographics and impending, we're going to have to find other ways to contact our citizens, I think, than just a phone call. As you can't find my kids at all.
Are they registered to vote in the city of Sparks? Because if
Yes.
they are, we can find them.
You can.
They
but
would show
you're
up
not-
on the list if
But you're
they're
not going to get a
registered.
phone number for them.
Because they didn't put it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So they protect their cell phone number. And I think we're missing a huge demographic there. But something to consider for next year.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, 9.2, discussion and possible approval for payment of an annual support from the City of Sparks to the Economic Development Authority of Western Nevada for fiscal year 2015-16, in the amount of $100,000. Who's doing this? Was Jeff? Okay, go ahead.
So Jeff Kronk, Acting City Manager for the record. I don't have a presentation. This was included in the budget. This is the $100,000 contribution to EDON for the current fiscal year. That was increased from the prior 2 years, which was at the level of $80,000 for each year. So it was increased to $100,000, and that's in the approved budget. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Questions, Mr. Lawson?
Well, I just want to say thank you for the council for approving this, or putting it in the budget. You haven't approved it yet, but EDON is doing a wonderful job in our area, and we're going to experience some growth that's going to be difficult for us, but it's better to have too much than not enough, and we'll overcome the challenges as they go forward. EDON has enough visitations and enough other companies that the job count is more than what Switch and Tesla provide together. So we're looking at a doubling of just those two companies in the ancillary businesses that come with it. And if you haven't heard about Switch, take the time. We're going to have some Fortune 100 companies that are going to be right here in our region, and they're going to have small offices and stuff. So we're going to have some great opportunity to become a bedroom community to Silicon Valley. And we're working on a few other things in that area to make them travel a little bit easier. So pretty proud to work with EDON, and pretty proud to be our representative from Sparks.
Questions? Okay, looking for a motion. Mrs. Bybee.
I move to approve payment for the city's annual support of EDON for fiscal year 2015-2016 in the amount of $100,000.
Mr. Smith.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Bybee and a second by Mr. Smith to approve 9.2, the EDON contribution. Any further discussion? See none, please vote. Passed unanimously. Next, 9.3, consideration and possible approval of a contract with RAD Strategies in the amount of $100,000 to assist the city with the public outreach portion of the comprehensive plan update. Karen, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mayor Martini and Council. I'm Karen Melby, Senior Planner. Before you today is a consideration and a possible approval of contract with RAD Strategies in the amount of $100,000 to assist the city with our public outreach portion of the comprehensive plan update. The adopted strategic plan for the city for fiscal years 2016 to 2021, the objective 3.1 is to complete and update the city's comprehensive plan by fiscal year 2017, and the current budget has earmarked $100,000 for the completion of that comprehensive plan. A key component of the comprehensive plan update is the public outreach and engaging the citizens of Sparks. Staff envisions using a mix of traditional community workshops, forming community stakeholder and agency advisory groups, working with the city stakeholders, and utilizing digital tools and media. Excuse me. Staff is recommending hiring a consultant to assist the city in utilizing new digital tools, including social media and survey methods. The anticipated expectation is to have a broadened public participation. The goal is to have a collaborative decision-making process resulting in a better comprehensive plan that establishes policies for the city's operations and that the city council and city employees can use to guide and develop our city. At the end of June 2015, the city issued a request for proposals to solicit and select a consultant to assist the city staff with the public outreach component of our master plan update, our comprehensive plan update. The city received 11 responses from consultants all around the United States. Based on review criteria, the city staff committee members interviewed 4 consultants. The committee unanimously recommends that the contract be awarded to RAD Strategies. RAD Strategies is a local firm that has more than 30 years of experience working in Nevada and has been working with the city of Sparks since 2009 on our branding campaign and also their smartphone app. RAD Strategy has the knowledge and experience to assist Sparks and to engage the public beyond traditional public meetings. which is a critical component of a comprehensive plan. RAD Strategy is also in attendance today if you have any specific questions for them. The committee unanimously recommends to City Council that the contract be awarded to RAD Strategies in the amount of $100,000. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Okay, looking for a motion. Mr. Smith.
I move to approve the contract in the amount of $100,000 to provide professional services to RAD Strategies.
Second, Ms. Bybee.
I second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Ms. Bybee to approve the RAD Strategies contract. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thanks, Karen.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it. 9.4 is consideration and possible direction to staff to seek financing options for construction of Phase 3 of the North Truckee Drain Relocation Project. Oh, you're too close. Let me take my glasses off. Okay, I can see. Mr. Martini, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Martini, members of the council. John Martini, city engineer, for the record, here today to ask the council's direction with regard to researching financing options to finance the last phase of the North Truckee Drain. In my staff report, I gave the council a timeline going all the way back to 2008 when the river flood fee was passed by ordinance. Collections began in April of 2008. It is kept in a separate account, uniquely called the river flood account. In late 2013, this council approved a contract to Q&D for the first phase. Then in March of 2014, you approved a change order, which was essentially the second phase. What is left is about 3,750 lineal feet of box culvert to be constructed roughly from Gregg Street, Vista Boulevard, off-ramp where we left it, up around heading towards Sparks Boulevard, tying into where the North Truckee Drain comes through. Right now, there is a figure in your staff report. Thanks, Rich. So this is Vista Boulevard here, Interstate 80. The blue line uniquely is the Truckee River. The little green piece was what you approved for Phase 2 construction. The red piece that got us under, if you remember, the elevated kind of on-ramp of Gregg Street heading up onto Vista Boulevard. We're around the bend. Now we need to construct this last piece, and this is where the North Truckee Drain currently comes through Interstate 80. We will tie both the main drain and the overflow drain to the box structure. Staff anticipates it's going to cost about $25 million to finish this last phase. Currently, the river flood account has about $6.5, $7 million. So we need to finance the difference, somewhere around $20 million, I'm estimating. It is a policy decision. You're not making a decision to award a contract or even construct it this year. We did include it in the fiscal 16 budget, of which we're currently in now. We did have a placeholder in there for $25 million. This direction today is sought to either go forward and have our illustrious acting city manager today, finance director, Mr. Kronk, investigate terms, whether it's bonding, short-term loan, whatever instrument is out there that would best suit us. If the council does not choose to have us investigate financing, the money will continue to come in. It's about $3 million a year. So in about 8 years, maybe 9 years, we would have enough to finish this construction. That's all I have, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Questions, Mr. Schmidt?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John, I'll get you, but I want to go ahead and talk to Jeff first. What are we looking like on timeframes? We gave the approval today to start to bring back some interest rate proposals and stuff to the council. What kind of timeframe are we looking at for this?
Jeff Kronk, acting city manager / financial services director / whatever. It kind of depends on the market right now. So what we'll do is we'll take direction today and actually start beating the bushes, if you will. So since it's a relatively large amount that we collect, about $3 million a year, as Mr. Martini said there, we'll probably look at shorter term, to start. But certainly, we're going to look at, potential 20-year issuances through the state. The SRF loans often run on a 20-year basis. So we're going to see what's out there, honestly. But we wanted to take this step first and get approval to see if this is even the direction we want to go.
Do you think by the end of the year we would have a package?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, I think that's our goal, is that we will we'll know whether it's through the state. We'll get it on their docket and see if they're interested, or if there's other avenues. But there's processes we'd have to go through as far as getting through the Debt Management Commission and so forth. So, but I don't see why this would be by the end of the year. And I believe we'd be looking at as early as next spring as time of construction, or that's way open.
Well, you are speaking to an engineer, so find me the money and we'll build it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's going to go exactly to my point, is that, good bid period, prices are rising pretty rapidly with engineering work. The more the businesses that move here, the higher the costs are getting to do business. And so that's one cost analysis that's not taking place of the boom. Working backwards, best time to get this is wintertime, probably out on the market by February. Would you agree with that? January, February, get the bid package out there to get ready to roll March or April on this thing?
If not sooner, yes.
Okay, because I'm looking for the best value. Then, it's going to be dead of winter time. Hopefully we can go ahead and get some good values on it. Does that work in your time frame to get him to be able to allow John to get a package by January out to bid?
My preference would be to have a bid hit late March. Just
that late in the season?
Giving us enough time to, if you will recall, Councilman Schmidt, we still have 2 easements to procure.
Yeah.
We have some permitting and we have some railroad negotiations.
I have faith you're going to get that done very quickly.
Thank you, sir.
Now, with that in mind, that we do that, I think that with the income stream that we've developed and proven over the years, $3 million a year, I feel very confident that we're going to get one heck of a good interest rate on it, because we should be able to pay this thing off very, very quickly. It's a proven income stream. We're using it. With that said, could we be working on Plan B? How much will $6 million get us of this thing right now? Instead of $6 million is sitting in the bank getting us 1% interest, or 0.5%, quarter, are we getting a 0.25% interest on our money? How much of that can we do? Can we develop a phase 4 and do phase 3 in 1,000 feet of it?
Councilman Schmidt, my concern would be this. I understand what you're saying. The mob cost for that tracked equipment to build it, and as you saw, Q&D's construction, is very expensive to mow. We could look at smaller increments, but I think in comparison, if you will, bang for the buck, we're better to wait a bit, and I would look at a $12 million setup, 10 to 12. I don't think 6 buys us much with regard to what it costs to get the contractor to get set up.
I'm a little concerned on the Fed Reserve meeting in December, what that's going to produce, and what that may do to the market and drive things around. So I would prefer going with the finances off to get this thing on the market, get this thing up and done. We're rolling dice this wintertime. I think we're rolling dice, and I think the sooner we get this better off. And I think the prudent thing to do is to get the bond, get this thing paid for, and get this thing rolling, so we don't go through another wintertime with a chance of a flood happening. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This will complete the project?
Yes.
It will. Goes on. How do we get underneath the freeway?
It's already through. We did that 2000s.
I thought the culvert ended right there at the freeway.
We will attach to it.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
He's going underneath there. I think it's important to note that if we have a $12 million or $18 million bond, that will be assumed by the flood project once we get everything going. We will lose that.
Absolutely. Should their fee structure, that's a good point that I did not include in my staff report. Through the JPA, Joint Powers Agreement, while we're doing this, after if whatever financing mechanism we use, if full approval of the flood fee regionally is done, they will assume this debt. Our fee, basically the $541 a month, everybody talks about that. will be assumed or changed by the Flood Management Authority, and it will leave our system and they will assume the debt.
The 541 will go away, and there'll
Be
be a new
replaced
fee
by
that will
something
be
else.
replaced for everybody in Washoe County.
Yes.
Thank you. I think we need to get this done. That's my 2 cents worth.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we've got it. If it floods now, the North Truckee Drain does is no good at all.
Don't you do that.
So, thank you.
Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, I'm going to concur. We need to get it finished, get it done. People are evaluating their relocation to our industrial area based on this project getting done, and the faster we get it done, the better it is for us all the way around.
Ms. Bybee.
Quick question, what is once we start construction, how long will it take to complete? What are you estimating?
I would put this one at probably about a year to 15 months
Okay, thank you.
from start to finish.
Whoops. Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one last comment, if I can. Mr. Smith brought on up, and I've spoken to the city manager about this, and I think it's imperative that we look at it at an emergency plan this wintertime. Some way to be able to use existing what we have, whether it's having equipment on standby or rental. We got to rent it for 4 months over the wintertime to prepare for it. I just think that, there's too many cards are lining on up against us right now, and that, we've spent, $14-15 million already on this thing, and I don't want anybody to say we spent $15 million for nothing. And I know 15 months worth of construction time is a long time. Can't do anything this wintertime about it. It is what it is. Let's just try to have a good emergency plan in place in case we get hit with something. And good job to staff for, getting this far in the project. It's something that, 97 flood happened. Most of the entities aren't doing a whole heck of a lot about it. We decided this was our number one project to get it done, and we're going to get it done. So with that, I'd be more than happy to make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I move to direct staff to seek financing options for construction of Phase 3 of the North Truckee Drain Realignment Project.
A second, Mr. Lawson.
Second.
Comment by me, there's a first by Mr. Schmidt, second by Mr. Lawson. Imperative we get this done, should have been done. I wish we could have done it, whatever, 1955, when I saw the first flood here, okay? But we need to get this done, so it's good stuff. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Please vote. If you're not in favor, don't vote. Charlene, push your button one way, I'm sorry. Passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good job. Okay, Ms. Severson, 9.7 we're going to take now. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval to participate in an agreement negotiated by Nevada Health Partners with Renowned Medical Center and Hometown Health for provision of group hospital network and third-party administration.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, go ahead, Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In light of this morning's letter that we received, and I was flying all morning long today to get back to Sparks. I'm going to be choosing that I need to abstain from this item. There's a possibility that I may have a conflict of interest. I haven't had enough time to get legal opinions on this thing today to whether I have conflict of interest and the possible heading into litigation. And so I'm going to be taking the safe route right now on this, and I'm going to be taking abstaining from listening or voting on this item. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And
Mr. Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilwoman Ratty asked me whether or not you could consider all three of these agenda items together, at least discuss them, voting on them separately. She indicated that there was some information relating to formerly 9.5 and 9.6 that might help her in her consideration of this particular agenda item. Seeing that all three agenda items are somewhat intermixed and that you may have some common issues, if that's the desire of the City Council to discuss all three at the same time,
okay,
and then ultimately vote on this first and then the
Sure.
other two having to do with the termination of the contracts, that's legally permissible.
Okay, no problem. We've done it in the past. It's good to have the attorney weigh in so we know we're legal, and if we're not, we can blame him, right?
That's what I'm here for.
That's what your job is, right?
That's right.
So get the big bucks for. Okay, we're going to go ahead and discuss all three questions. You can make your presentation on all three. Then we'll have questions, whatever, on all three, and then we'll vote separately on all three. Okay? Go ahead, Chris.
Good with me. Mayor and City Council, Chris Severson, Administrative Services Director, for the record. Hospital coverage for the City of Sparks has for many years been contracted with St. Mary's Hospital through a participation agreement with the Nevada Health Partners. The current contract expires December 31st, 2015. Nevada Health Partners is comprised of public and private employers who work together to negotiate contracts with medical providers to provide services using a greater economy of scale than could be achieved by individual employers. Given the changing landscape of hospital management in the region, with both Renown and St. Mary's experiencing ownership or management changes, the decision was made by NHP to put out an RFP for hospital services. Early discussions indicated that both hospitals were open to these discussions. To bring objectivity to the process, NHP contracted with Darren Severson, not related, Severson, an independent contractor, to develop an RFP as well as to prepare an independent financial analysis of both proposals. Each hospital was asked to provide an option that would allow a dual hospital option. So as you know, we've had a single hospital option, but it was a desire to have both. Unfortunately, only Renown formally responded to the RFP and provided an option for a dual hospital scenario. St. Mary's chose to present their proposal as a renewal of the existing contract. St. Mary's also presented their renewal as exclusive, and were not interested in a dual hospital proposal. Following an extensive review of both proposals, the clear choice was with Renown. NHP, as a result of these negotiations, finalized a contract with Renown end of June, first part of July. As part of the negotiations, Renown offered several options, including options on preferred provider networks, as well as third-party administration services. It should be noted that TPA services were provided as an a la carte option and was not a part of the initial decision to contract with Renown. Only after the decision was made to move to hospital services were network and TPA services considered individually by each employer participating. Also included in the Renown agreement is the ability to use our own Northern Nevada Medical Center as a preferred provider.
Good.
I'm just going to try to help with acronyms. So
Yes, I'm sorry.
What is TPA?
Third-party administrator.
Thank you.
They claims processors, I think. Well, they do a lot more than that, but primarily third-party administrators. Sorry. Also included in the Renown agreement was the ability to use our own Northern Nevada Medical Center as a preferred provider, as well as Carson Tahoe Regional Medical Center. As a self-funded employer with limited ability to impact health costs through our group health insurance committee, it is important to take the opportunities as they are presented. The financial savings by using the all-in approach, using the Hometown Health Provider Network and Partners TPA, as well as the hospital contracting, will save the city in excess of $200,000 per year. These savings are a combination of a hospital, TPA, and network savings. In addition, as part of the 3-year contract, there will be a 2% minimum and 5% maximum inflator for hospital services tied to medical CPI after the first year. This is, in effect, a cap on hospital inflationary costs. The city is sensitive to employees who are currently with St. Mary's and who will be encouraged to switch to Renown. Hometown Health has committed to working with all members to help them navigate through this transition. There will be a dedicated line that employees can call to seek help in finding a new doctor, ask questions, or just to make sure they are accessing the network correctly. Working with Hometown Health to address what this change will mean in terms of disruption to members, it has been verified that approximately 91% of the doctors currently utilized by our members are also a member of the Hometown Health network of providers. Management of Northern Nevada Medical Center have asked the city to urge inclusion of contracted Northern Nevada medical group physicians, which we have requested of Renown. Hometown Health also assessed the possibility of contracting with independent providers that are heavily utilized by our members to see if they may be brought into the provider network as well. With regards to retirees or dependents living outside the local area, a panel of providers that are currently accessed through St. Mary's network are the same network for Hometown Health, so there will be no need to switch providers. As recently as today, St. Mary's has brought into question the RFP process, confidentiality of the hospital contract, and the financial analysis. It should be noted that, first of all, what you're being asked to do today is to authorize the city manager to execute a participation agreement with Nevada Health Partners. This allows us to benefit from the contract negotiated between Renown and Nevada Health Partners. This action is authorized under NRS 287010, 287015, and 287020, which gives the governing body the ability to, and I'm going to quote NRS because I don't want to ad lib, to secure group health, life, or workers' compensation insurance for its officers and employees and their dependents, participate as a member of a nonprofit cooperative association or nonprofit corporation that has been established in the state to secure such insurance for its members from an insured license pursuant, tongue-tied, to the provisions of Title 57 or NRS. In addition to the provisions of paragraph C, participate as a member of a nonprofit cooperative association or nonprofit corporation that has been established in the state to, 1, facilitate contractual arrangements for the provision of medical services to its members, officers, and employees and their dependents, and for related administrative services, and 2, procure health-related information and disseminate that information to its members, officers, employees, and their dependents, end quote. So by us contracting with Nevada Health Partners, the state law does provide that we can do that we can use that as a process to obtain our insurance. In regards to confidentiality, the contract between Renown and NHP is confidential, as according to the hospital, it contains proprietary information, including rates. It should be noted that St. Mary's has also required that all rates be confidential in the past, and we have not to date brought a hospital contract before council for approval. St. Mary's has asserted that they will meet or beat the offer made by the chosen organization. This statement itself would not fall into any semblance of recognized bid process. As the decision by Nevada Health Partners to contract with Renown last July, this is simply too little too late. The decision to move hospital services, provider networks, and third-party administrative services is not taken lightly. The recommendation to participate in the hospital contract through Nevada Health Partners comes with a belief at this time Renown presents a better financial decision as well as forging a new partnership. Today I have in the audience Tony Slonim, CEO of Renown, Ty Winfield, Vice President of Renown, and Heather Reimer, Sales Manager of Renown. Also in attendance is Larry Harvey, current President of Nevada Health Partners, and Darren Sievertson, the independent contractor that helped us work through the RFP and financial analysis. Dan Marin has also weighed in on some of the RFP questioning and certainly our legal counsel. So I'm prepared to answer any of your questions or to ask those in attendance to answer any of your questions as well.
Okay, questions? No questions? Ms. Reddy?
So first thing to just say is that we haven't redone a health contract since 2006. So for at least 3 of us on the dais, this is the first time we've ever been through this sort of a process. So I just would like to say that this is not something that we do on a routine basis, just to put that on the record. So the reason I wanted to open up all 3 at the same time is I wanted to understand our past process and how it compares to this process. So the nonprofit group, referred to as group in the agreement, were they a part of the process in 2006?
Yes.
And so the contract that we are canceling, it says that we're canceling the contract with CDS, which is the third-party administrator, but we're also canceling the contract with
UHN.
UHN.
Yes. For the record, third-party administrative services have been a separate, they are not negotiated through Nevada Health Partners.
Okay, so take those off the table.
So they are an independent decision.
And then therefore that contract would be public?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to the confidentiality questions.
Okay.
So perhaps Renowned Legal Counsel could answer that. I don't know.
Okay. So, but setting that aside.
I know that I signed a confidentiality agreement for hospital rates, and so that's the part that I can't disclose.
Okay. So then the portion that is with UHN.
And CDS. That's okay.
CDS
Acronyms will be the death of us.
It's all going to make sense here soon, I'm sure. So the portion that is with UHN.
UHN.
is direct with the provider.
Yes.
But that contract was not public in the last round.
You know, I would have to go back and look at it, Julie. I honestly don't recall if the contracts were part of. It has been my understanding, and perhaps Mr. Marin can shed some light, I'm not sure, but I know that the hospital contracts have not ever come. I believe that we have not brought contracts for CDS or UHN to this body before because they are professional services contracts.
And therein lies my question. So why would we, so in the prior situation, we are canceling a contract that in theory never came before us because we had a participation agreement with the group, not with UHN. Now we're saying Renowns isn't coming before us because we have it with the group. It almost feels like we should have been canceling the agreement that we had with the group that led us to St. Mary's as opposed to with UHN directly.
The contract with St. Mary's expires on its own on the 31st of December. So there's no need to cancel that. The contract on TPA and UHN are on a little bit different cycle, and I apologize I didn't bring that cycle with me. So it would necessitate, if we're going to change our TPA and provider networks, canceling those mid-contract.
And just so that we're clear, and I apologize, but health insurance is one of the most complex things that we do. So apologize if it's a little bit difficult for even me to follow, and certainly try to make sure that everybody can follow. There's three things. There's the third-party administrator, there's the health network, and then there's the hospitals. So those are three separate things. Okay.
Dan Marin, Contracts and Risk Manager for the record. We sought to structure this staff report the same way that we do our annual renewal of property insurance and other insurance vehicles that we do, in that we are asking the council for authorization to go forward based upon the numbers that we have. The ultimate execution of whatever documents may be required by the insurers and the providers is done downstream once the application period is done, once, in this case, the participation agreement is done. We'd have to go back and look at the staff report for the last time the council addressed this in terms of looking at what exactly was presented to you. The nature of the report before you today is all about authorizing the city manager to go forward and execute what agreements need to be done. In terms of the termination of the agreements, it's our understanding from the city attorney's office that if the city council approved the first contract, only they can terminate the contract. So it can't be done at the staff level, and that's why you're seeing that as part of this action today.
So you see my quandary, that when we did it the last time, it appears, or at least you're asking us to terminate a contract directly with the provider, not with the nonprofit. And if we were negotiating directly with the provider, then does that become a public document?
Okay. If we were negotiating with the provider, and the provider is asking us to enter into a contract as the city of Sparks, it would be a public document if we were going to ask you to approve it. The reason that, I'm just speculating here, the reason that you're not being provided a contract with CDS, or what was the other one? UHN, is that the contract's already been presented to the city council. City council has already approved it. Now, it may not have been during your tenure, but the city council reviewed the contract and approved it. We are not asking you to approve a contract this time, so in that regard, there's no legal necessity that you be provided with those particular contracts that the staff is asking you now to rescind. Nevertheless, if it's something that falls within Nevada law as a public document, I certainly wouldn't have any problems advising staff to provide it to you at this point in time. But again, when we are not entering into a contract with a provider, we are simply participating with Nevada Health Partners, Health Services, or whatever we got here. Nevada Health Partners, who has the contract. That contract is privileged, declared by Nevada law to be confidential under NRS 332.061 sub 1 and 332.025 sub 5.
And then I'll just ask one follow-up question and then let somebody else go for a bit. Would you have any way of knowing if Nevada law has changed since the last time we did a process?
You mean
The revised statutes that allows for that confidentiality?
Well, I would have no reason to believe that Nevada law has changed to dramatically change or otherwise affect the legal advice I just gave to you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lawson.
So I just want to get this straight in my head. St. Mary's chose not to bid.
St. Mary's responded that they would not respond to the RFP, but instead chose to give us their rates as a contract extension for exclusive hospital network services, hospital provider services.
But then turned around and said, we'll match or beat whatever you get.
That's correct. Just in the last
I find that
couple of days.
disingenuous at best.
In the last couple of days.
And let me ask another question of the lawyer. Do they even have any standing to talk to us about this since they didn't bid the RFP?
We didn't say, to answer your question, no. I don't believe they do have standing. The first two comments in their letter that was sent just hours before the city council meeting.
I haven't seen the letter.
Well, I just barely got a chance to see it myself. But they protested and they've objected to the approval of the agreement. It's my opinion that St. Mary's has neither standing, any type of capacity to, anybody can object to anything, but they certainly can't. It's kind of framed as in a formal bid protest, and because A, the city of Sparks never sent out a bid, and B, because they were never a bidder, they really cannot employ the bid protest procedures under Nevada law.
Okay. Then my final question is there a time frame that we need to cancel these other contracts within? Are we?
Yes, there's 90 days.
So 90 days.
So we're in that, would begin October 1st.
Okay, so it is kind of imperative we get this. And I want to give our city attorney that time, if he needs to make sure we're making the right decision. I don't want to get sued over something silly, but in my mind, if you don't bid a contract, you have no standing. I mean, it's not the way it works out in the real world. It shouldn't work in government that way.
My question, Chet, is doesn't no reason why they can't under public comment?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and I'm not.
And it's not in the form of a protest or whatever, but they can come and make public comment against whatever we're trying to do. So,
Absolutely, they have every right
clear.
as any other person. The problem is that as far as illegal standing goes, and I believe that's what Councilman Lawson's question was.
And I agree with one thing that Ed said too. I mean, I would like to be able to, somebody make a bid on a contract and I can look at it and see what it is and then come in and undercut them. I mean, I'd love to be able to do that. That's not the way it works, dear. I'm sorry.
Well,
maybe.
So Chris, let me try to be clear on the kind of the history of how we've done our health insurance in the past. Is it something that we put out an RFP to, or has it been several years since we've done this? And the reason we're doing it is because Nevada Health Partners made the change, and that's who we've been working with. So in the past, whatever Nevada Health Partners, we just kept whatever they had, and the RFP was required because they were making the change. Kind of, I'm looking historically to how we got here today and how often this might be happening as we move into the future.
My understanding, and this predates my time with the city, was that the city has been a member of Nevada Health Partners for approximately 20 years. Mr. Harvey is the expert on the timing. But since that time, NHP, Nevada Health Partners, has gone out for bid or thought about going out for bid or has talked to different, depends on the scenario. There were times when we really had no interest in entertaining a different hospital system than St. Mary's. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, the climate is different now. It seems different now. We've got different management at Renown. We have different ownership at St. Mary's, and we thought maybe it was the time for a dual hospital system. So it seemed the perfect time to go out to an RFP. I personally can't remember when we've gone out to RFP for hospital services, or Nevada Health Partners has gone on RFP for hospital services for quite some time.
And And just to follow up on that, I think that obviously in today's environment, the cost of health care is something that is one of the biggest expenses that everyone personally that we have, that our companies, that our city government and federal government, I mean, all of this are facing, extraordinary, exorbitant healthcare costs. And I think whatever we can do to minimize those costs, to manage them effectively, to use our healthcare system the best we can, because the cost is crippling. I mean, for especially with catastrophic issues, but even everyday health care, and whatever $200,000 a year doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. It's still $200,000, and I think the more that we can do to be proactive to save the city money, which in essence is the taxpayers' money, is important for us to do. Thank you.
Okay, I have some public comment cards, so we can do that part now. Ms. Parker, I said I would allow you to speak again if you'd like, so come on ahead and speak again. You have 3 minutes like you did last time, so go for it.
Thank you, members of the City Council, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Attorney. I'd like to respond to some of the legal issues that were brought up as far as NRS Chapter 287, which provides for the creation of the coalition, Nevada Health Partners, NHP. That provides for the creation of that coalition, and my understanding is the purpose was to kind of consolidate the power of the various public entities and private corporations for bidding purposes, but nowhere in that statute does it provide an exception from NRS Chapter 332 for public bidding. And all exceptions to statutes are narrowly construed, and we have reviewed that chapter, and we don't believe that there's any exception to the public bidding requirements. Our understanding was that was created to, as I said, consolidate the bidding power. There's other sections in Chapter 332 that allows public entities to join other governmental entities' contracts. You'll see that with, federal contracts or other cities, and there's still a requirement that it be publicly bid. So when that RFP is issued out, they make sure that anybody they anticipate would join it, that their public bidding requirements would be met. And our position is that there was not a public bidding process followed. Ms. Severson mentioned that there was the RFP. Your support materials say that the city issued an RFP with NHP, and that now we can't offer a new bid because the RFP is closed. Well, St. Mary's doesn't understand. Are we following an RFP process or are we not? Our understanding was that Renown was allowed to rebid after July. We have an email between someone from Hometown Health and the Washoe County School District in August confirming different rates. So we were only trying to participate as we believed that it was called for with the RFP. Also, we don't believe that the City Council can delegate their powers to review the contract. If you look at the participation agreement included in your supporting documents, it says that the city has read the agreement and agrees to comply with the obligations. And this is more than just the price. As far as confidentiality, NRS 332.061, which was cited by your council, says that this shall not be disclosed until the award of the contract, and then the contract becomes public. NRS 332.025, which defines what's confidential, says this term does not include the amount of the bid. We believe that all of this is public information, and that you as stewards to the public should have all of this before you when you make your decision. We ask that you consider our offer, or if you need more time, that you provide for more time and issue the RFP properly. Also, Deborah Simon is here if you have any questions for St. Mary's.
Thanks, Ms. Parker.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, I have another card here from William McGrath, McDonald Corona, who is representing Renown Health. And also, if Mr. Slonim would like to speak, we can make out another card and allow you to speak also, sir. Go ahead. You're Mr. McGrath. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members. My name is Bill McGrath. I'm a private attorney here on behalf of Renown. I'm also here with Dr. Slonim, who is the president, CEO of Renown, who's prepared to make a presentation if necessary. I'm a partner in the firm of McDonald Corona, where I've practiced law for the last 35 years here in Reno. Very briefly, your staff did an excellent job in not only outlining the process, but in explaining the statutes. I had a series of statutes here I was going to cite, but she read them off perfectly because she understands the statutes which apply. Your city attorney also knows these statutes which apply, et cetera. This is a process whereby Nevada Health Partners for 20-plus years, and in fact, Mr. Larry Harvey, who's here in the audience, if he comes down and will explain, will give you an excellent understanding of how this collective group has put together the bid process, and in this case put together a bid process which included an RFP. 2 hospitals were solicited, Renown and St. Mary's. And Mr. Harvey will tell you, as will your staff, that Renown appeared, responded, came up with a whole series of different options, exclusive, non-exclusive, and a whole variety of different options regarding TPA services. St. Mary's did not participate. That's the bottom line. Now, they sent an email in that said, we'll just like to continue our existing contract for another year with a moderate increase in price. They never told you the increase in price. And in fact, Ms. Simon, who's here, actually wrote an email that said, once you sign the contract, we'll tell you what the prices are. That's just absurd, to sign a contract before you hear the prices. They didn't participate. And the CEO of, this is not our first process. We've been through this with the Washoe County School District. We've been through several different meetings there. Mr. Peterson's been there at the school district. Just hours before the school district committee meeting, he delivered a big, lengthy letter. And then just hours before the Board of Trustees meeting, he delivered a big, lengthy letter objecting. And it sounds like he did that today. I haven't seen the letter. I've seen the other 2. I believe they're all the same. But in front of the Committee on Insurance for the Washoe County School District, Helen Lindholm, who's the CEO of St. Mary's, stood up in public comment. I have the quote. I can play it on my phone if you want to hear it. She said, "We were not able to participate in the RFP because we didn't trust the process." They didn't participate, and yet they're here now throwing a Hail Mary pass that says, we'll meet or beat whatever prices Renown has offered. Your staff has done a thorough job analyzing the process and followed the process. Renown followed the process, and Renown is ready to proceed and offer your employees tremendous service. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Well, this is public comment. It's not question and answer period. But I guess if there is some down the road, we'll discuss that. Mr. Slonim, Dr. Slonim, I guess if you would like to also make some comments. I don't know that it's a formal presentation other than it's public comment, so keep it to 3 minutes, please, and we'll be all set.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, city attorney. My name is Dr. Anthony Slonim. I am the president and CEO for Renown Health. We appreciate your time today. Fundamentally, as you heard from Mr. McGrath, there was an RFP. We followed the procedure. As you heard on the first page of the RGJ and in public hearings with the Washoe County School District, my dear colleague Helen Lindholm said she chose not to participate in the process because they didn't trust it. That was a business decision, simply stated. We won the bid, and now there's no opportunity for a second bite at the apple because you didn't follow the process. For 20 years, Renown Health has participated in a process with the Nevada Business Group on health. 6 of the times, each time this RFP came out, we lost the bid. We thank the people who made that decision, and we vowed to come back more competitively next time with a response to the proposal and do our best to serve the people who requested it. Unfortunately, in this case, we won the bid, and we're being challenged on a number of fronts because we followed the process and did our work with a competitive bid. Please do not allow the failure to participate to change or provide a second opportunity and an outside of process opportunity. We thank you for the opportunity to present to you today, and we look forward to serving your employees and retirees with their health care. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Next, we have Deborah Simon. Again, you have 3 minutes, ma'am.
I would just like to clarify that St. Mary's did participate. We met with Darren Severson, and he acknowledged when we met with him, provided him our information and our rates, that it was being accepted as a bid to the proposal. And I would just like to clarify the participation agreement that was mentioned earlier. St. Mary's allowed for the consultant to review our rates that they had selected. And during one of the presentations, we attended every presentation except the initial one. I happened to be in the air and had talked with both Darren and Terry Lightfoot and let them know that I wouldn't be able to. Could we make other arrangements because we would have participated? Gonzalo Hernandez, who represents the Washoe County School District, had stated in one of the meetings, well, Deborah, if we select St. Mary's, I should be able to see those rates. And we said, we agree. That's certainly a reasonable request. And so we left the meeting and then shared with Darren and with Terry Lightfoot the participation agreement. So it wasn't to say, here, sign this, we'll give you our rates. It was at the request of Gonzalo Hernandez. And it was our understanding that's some of the other members too may want to sign it. So that's why we provided that information the way that we did. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Okay. Let's bring it back to the council for action or questions or whatever. Ms. Ratty.
So I'd like to hear from Mr. Harvey, because we have one side saying they did participate, one side saying they didn't participate, or the consultant, whichever makes sense to answer that question.
Yep.
Since they were the ones who orchestrated the process. And again, I just want to make this clear. We keep saying we in RFP, but the clarity here is there was an RFP issued. It was not issued by the city. It was issued by Mr. Harvey's group. And so when Chris, our Ms. Severson is sitting at the dais and saying we did an RFP process, you mean we as a member of the Health Coalition, not we as a member of the city.
Yes.
So that's why I want to hear from Mr. Harvey.
Go ahead, Larry.
Directly.
Thank you, Ms. Ratty. Mr. Mayor, board council members, Larry Harvey for the record, just so you know. Glad to be in front of you again. It's been a while. Yes, I currently, one of my hats is the president of Nevada Health Partners, which is fully owned by Nevada Business Group on Health. And back in 1993, 5 groups got together after a PPO program was trying to get their hospital bid and trying to get their big customers to really help them. And basically the school district, myself, back then it was Johnny Pullman, the assistant city manager of risk management, actually was part of City of Sparks, was part of the group, goes that far back. Washoe County and RCVA initially, MV Energy. So we had a real interesting, diverse group who talked and said, you know, we really should do this together. And the county, who really wanted to look into it, they're the ones who got the legislation forward to pass the law that, as was mentioned, to kind of make sure, many of them, I know the school districts and the cities felt they had the ability through professional service contracts and insurance to do that on their own, but we kind of made sure they felt they passed that rule that they'd feel more comfortable. So in '95, it took till then before that was passed and we formed as an organization. So understand who it is. It's not Larry Harvey's group.
We can't remember the initials of anything.
We are all owners of it. So City of Sparks is a founder and owner of this organization. So it's a nonprofit organization that was founded firmly for the purpose of being together to go after professional services. Hospital service was the number one and the biggest cost. Since then, we've taken on a prescription benefit management program. So all those 13 members, plus, frankly, several additional outside self-insured members participate in that contract. So we do a number of them, but the hospital is being our biggest and most focal one. So what we did was we went out to bid as we did back in '95. And back in '95, the hospitals didn't know what to do with us. A group of business people, they were looking for Aetnas and Blue Crosses. And so finally, with St. Mary's, who kind of broke and finally started working with us, we did a pretty good partnership over time. There's been questions about how often do we bid. We have 3-year contracts with 2-year extensions potentially. So honestly, they usually go about 5 years barring any problems. So in that time, we have gone out 5 times in that process. So St. Mary's has been a part of that every time. This is the same process we have used virtually every time. Getting an outside consultant, going through an RFP process is pretty consistent with how we've handled this each and every time. We've never had a challenge or a concern brought to our attention. Usually the 2 main hospitals, as you know, it is St. Mary's and now Renown, back Northern Medical Center back then. And the other hospitals, we have worked hard to be a partnership. So we've always been able to include them by us working together. That is not normally in these PPOs. So it's some work that we started years ago, adding more services, making sure our employees have the best quality and the best cost. So as far as that goes, we went out for the RFP in March. Initially, we met with each hospital. We started off with the incumbent, St. Mary's. We sat with Helen Leadholm and Deborah Simon, and we, 3 of us at the time, 3 board members, and that includes Chris Severson, Mr. Hernandez from the school district, and myself. We met with them and told them what our intentions were. We thought, let's tell them what we want to do, why we're doing it. And Chris, I thought, did a great job, Ms. Severson, of telling you how that was working. We all decided it was the right time to go out and ask for services, both exclusive and non-exclusive. Talk to both. We actually got we thought, a warm reception from St. Mary's that they were going to participate. By the time right before there was a pre-bid conference, we asked them both to attend. And Renown attended with all the people present to kind of give us an idea. Their CEO, their vice president here, director of member services, and others, to show us what they could do to ask the right questions so they knew what we wanted. And the RFP could start off strong. Yes, St. Mary's first said they couldn't make it. We were concerned, so we said, well, give us another date. We never did get another date for that pre-bid conference. We did get an email from them, as was stated, and in it said, we are not going to respond formally to the RFP. It did say we are going to provide a 2-year extension. Of course, we were looking for a 3-year rate contract with 2 extensions, and that's what they provided. It took some time, but of course, when you go out to bid, you would like 2 bidders to try to kind of get things off. And so at the end of the day, Mr. Severson, our consultant, through our direction, we did accept the rates they provided. So although it wasn't in the form of the proper FP, and we could have, and I told them, we could have just got rid of the RFP and said you didn't respond. They said, we know. We think this is better for you. So we ended up accepting the rates, and we did use those rates to do the proposal, to do the matching. We did have issues that came up. Example would be, yes, we chose one consultant to represent all of us, but as you can imagine, you've got NV Energy, the school district, you've got the county. Many have their own consultants as well. And so Renown provided their contract rates to all our consultants as long as a confidentiality agreement was signed. In the past, St. Mary's has always provided their rates to our consultants as long as agreement was signed. And this was the first year they refused. They said no, they were not going to go out because they were concerned. They didn't trust that it would stay confidential. And so we had 2 different meetings after the bid conference, one finalist meeting. And again, they asked the question. They came back with no, because example would have been, and they used Mr. Hernandez, the school district, who has the most lives of any of us, frankly, and said, I really need to see those so I can do my analysis because I have fiduciary responsibility to our organization. And again, it was, we are not going to provide that to individual organizations or to your brokers. So those kinds of issues or problems made it difficult. We got very little participation at our meetings, and usually when we actually extended the time frame to give them one more opportunity. So we extended one more time. We had questions on both proposals. So we said, let's put our questions out to Renown. We had 4 or 5 questions. Did the same thing with St. Mary's, give them one last opportunity. And to give a lot of credit to Renown, every time that we had a question or problem, they responded very succinctly. And very often came with either a change in service or a change in rates based on our question or concern. St. Mary's came every time with the same 1.5-page sheet that said the services they were offering us, nothing that was related to really rates, more like promises. They weren't related to cost savings. And both systems, I should say, I want to start off with, I would go to either one of these hospitals and feel very confident. We learned very long. Quality wasn't the issue. We put that up front. Both of them do great things. Both presented great programs. So you should know right off the bat we took that off. This is going to be about price and services. And frankly, the last is partnership, because we realized over the years when you do a hospital contract, things change. You know, new service comes in, you get CyberKnife, you get these new things happen, and you want them to come to you and be able to negotiate each time those things occur. And we were having a strange issue with St. Mary's not really participating in negotiating, and we were getting a different response. So when we looked at it, it all came down to three things. First, rates overall, and you heard it from Chris Severson and others. All of us saw a reduction in rates. Second, the broad services. There's more services offered through the Renown program. That's a benefit to our employees. And third was opportunity for partnership, the ability to work through issues and problems. So I will tell you, did they respond? The only were called to respond it was because we accepted their renewal as an acceptable response to view the rates. But they were not a real strong participant in the RFP process, and we have the documentation to show in their own words they didn't do it. And it's true that Helen Leenholm, with one meeting, the Assurance Committee, got up and said, we didn't participate because we didn't trust the process. And that was a shock to me because those words were never mentioned through the whole RFP process.
Thank you, Larry. Okay. Questions? Mr. Adams, you have something?
Yeah, as a follow-up to Councilman Lawson's question to me concerning standing, and with all due deference to St. Mary's could come in and make an offer to Sparks that we'll give you everything at 25%. We do not have the authority to enter into any type of an agreement. The agreement is with NHP up there, not us, as Councilwoman Ratty pointed out, that because it wasn't Sparks, we don't have any authority to modify, change, or ask for any type of anything in addition to any type of negotiated term that has already been arrived at.
Okay, thank you. Okay, questions, motions, recommendations, Ms. Ratty.
I'm still needing a little bit of help. So I'm looking at the agenda item. Consider discussion and 9.7 to be clear. Consider discussion and possible approval to participate in an agreement negotiated by Nevada Health Partners with Renown. The way that reads to me is that the agreement is with Renown. So help me through that.
The participation agreement does have both City of Sparks and Renown signatures on it, as well as Nevada Health Partners. So okay. Nevada Health Partners negotiated the agreement, and we are asking you to allow us to sign a participation agreement.
You're part of Nevada Health?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So then my next question is, do we only look at our participation agreement with the group?
NHP.
NHP when there's been a bid process, or do we renew it annually?
Can you ask that again?
So we're doing it now
yes.
because there's been a change in the environment, as you suggested,
yes.
and obviously there's a change in the outcome of the provider.
Yes.
When else do we renew that agreement?
When NHP negotiates a new agreement with a provider.
Okay.
So, for example, when we have a new pharmacy benefit manager contract, if it's not a renewal as stated in the existing contract, if it is a new contract, then we would sign a new participation agreement.
And that's our normal process, is to
yes.
approve the participation agreement,
yes.
not the contract itself.
Yes.
Okay. So where I'm getting to is, so I'm comfortable and actually even love the idea of working with a nonprofit organization to leverage the number of employees to increase rates. Clearly, we have got to become smart and strategic about how we manage healthcare costs, and this is a way to do that. I would disagree with just one thing that Mr. Harvey said. We are not an owner of that. We are a member participant because it's a nonprofit organization with a governing board, I'm assuming, no ownership. because I
That's
think
correct.
that that's important, that we're a
Matters.
participating member, it matters.
Right.
So I'm really comfortable with the strategy. I think it's a smart strategic strategy. I'm comfortable having heard with, from everybody that we've heard today with the process. I mean, it seems to me like the process was similar to processes we've held in the past, though how people have interfaced with that process may have been different than what we've done in the past. The one thing that I'm really not thrilled about still is the lack of transparency. And so it sounds to me like, again, since the last one hasn't really been done since 2006, it's a relatively new thing for me to really pay attention to the fact that the contract itself, so that I, as an elected official, could have a greater confidence or understanding in the savings and where those savings are coming from, is a little bit disconcerting to me. That said, my understanding is we've got a 90-day out clause with our current contract, right? We must do that.
That's correct.
Okay, so that leaves us zero breathing room to do anything different but to act today. Is that correct?
We could delay it.
If we don't act today, that contract renews.
With St. Mary's?
With CDS, to be,
The contract.
or
that we-
UHN, sorry, with
It would
UHN.
perpetuate because we have an ongoing, the contract with CDS does not expire December 31st. We are asking you to terminate it so that we can go to a new TPA December 5.
Right, I'm not so much worried about the TPA, but we're
Okay.
really talking about the hospital
That's correct.
services.
We would not have hospital services. But the hospital contract expires, so it's a little bit different. We're not asking you to give us an out on the hospital contract because it will expire on
Okay,
its
so
own.
the contract
But if
with
you
St.
don't-
Mary's just expired.
It just expires.
So the contract with CDS must be terminated, and the contract with...
UHN.
Oh, well, that helps. Okay.
Well, I'm glad we brought clarity to something.
Thank you.
It is very confusing, and let me tell you, having been through the process and having seen the rates, it's really pretty overwhelming, just the amount of complexity. I'm not saying that it's not doable, because that's why we hired someone to do the numbers for us, but when you look at all the different levels and rates and even if you saw it, it's just very, very complex.
So to say that back, we not only get we get the benefit of a better rate by participating in this group process, but we also get the benefit of some external expertise that it would be difficult for us to have as a city our size.
Absolutely.
Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely.
Okay, further questions or a motion? Anybody want to make a motion? Let me just say, I'm comfortable with what we presented here today, comfortable with the process. It's one we've done in the past, I think. I'm comfortable with what Mr. Harvey said and how it went, that I believe they were non-responsive, like you told me a long time ago. So I'm comfortable moving ahead with this thing. That's just my opinion. So does anybody want to try a motion, or Mr. Smith? How about you?
9.7 first?
Yeah, you're gonna do
This is
9.7.
9.7 first.
I would do 9.7 first.
Okay, I move to approve participation in agreement negotiated by Nevada Health Partners, NHP, with Renown Medical Center and Hometown Health for the provision of a group hospital network and third-party administration, TPA, services for the city's employees and retirees covered by the group health insurance plan as recommended by staff, and authorization for the city manager to execute agreements for these services.
Ms. Bybee.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Smith, seconded by Ms. Bybee to approve 9.7. Discussion, Ms. Ratty.
One last question to the city attorney. Do you have any reason to believe that we're violating open meeting law in any way today?
I wouldn't allow you to continue working if I did, but no, I have no problems at all with this. And any issues or any concerns about the RFP process should be directed to NHP and not the City of Sparks, because we were not the author of the bid.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, please vote. Please display. Okay, passes unanimously with those present. Mr. Schmidt is a abstention. All right, let's move on to 9.5 then next. Consideration, discussion, possible approval to terminate the existing with CDS Group. Any questions or looking for a motion? Ms. Bybee.
I move to terminate the existing contract with CDS Group Health as the city's third-party administrator effective December 30th, 2015.
Mr. Smith.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Smith to approve 9.5, which is the termination of the existing contract with CDS Group Health. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Mr. Schmidt is an abstention. Okay, moving on, 9.6, consideration, discussion, and possible approval to terminate the existing contract with Universal Health Network, UHN, Ms. Ratty, for... Questions? Any questions? Motion.
Just a comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Ratty.
I do want to thank the staff for their incredible hard work on this, and it's a complex issue, and please don't take my series of questions as any lack of gratitude or lack of confidence in the ability of the staff to move this forward.
Mr. Smith.
I move to terminate the existing contractor with UHN as the city's third-party administrator for the city of Sparks effective December 30th, 2015.
Do you have a second? Ms. Bybee.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Smith, seconded by Ms. Bybee to approve 9.6.
I just wanted you, if I may, Mr. Smith, you said third-party administrator and it's a third-party network.
It says administrator in my motion.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so is the correct verbiage network?
That's what I would prefer.
Okay, then I'll amend my motion to say third-party network.
Thank you.
Okay with the seconder?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It does say administrator.
Okay.
Typo.
So it's network.
Network.
Okay. Everyone understand the motion? Seeing no further discussion, please vote. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, 9.8 is a first reading.
This is a first reading of Bill Number 2694, an ordinance by the City of Sparks amending Title 20 to include standards for urban agriculture and other matters properly relating thereto.
Okay, 9.8 is a first reading. This is the first reading of Bill Number 2694. The public hearing and second reading of this bill will be conducted at the regular City Council meeting on Monday, October 12, 2015. 9.9 is a first reading.
First reading of Bill Number 2695, an ordinance amending Chapter 20.29 of the Sparks Municipal Code to clarify the definitions and adding Chapter 20.29.025 to prohibit any person from maintaining, creating, or establishing a location or structure for the purpose of feeding, sheltering, or providing sustenance to feral cats or attracting high-risk species within the boundaries of the city, providing other matters properly related thereto.
This is the first reading of Bill Number 2695. The public hearing and second reading of this bill will be conducted after the regular City Council meeting on Monday, October 12, 2015 at 6 p.m. Okay, moving on, 10.1, public hearing, possible approval of the Consolidated Plan Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER. George, welcome. Mr. Graham.
Today we have before you, for your consideration and approval, that I might be able to submit the CAPER report, which is the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation. It's a part of the CDBG grant agreement that annually I'm reporting on previous accomplishments with under the CDBG grant, and and I'd like to present that, and also some background. We've received approximately $631,000 in CDBG grant, and we also reprogrammed some previous year to accomplish pedestrian improvements, housing, and also as far as supporting the general administration things of the Community Activity Center for the homeless and many other services. So what I'm doing is I'm reporting on all of the accomplishment with CDBG, home funds, and all what we administrated over the last year. And so I'm prepared to answer any questions on
Okay, questions for
any of our
Mr.
accomplishments or
Questions for Mr. Graham on the caper? No questions? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'll open it to the public. Anyone like to speak to 10.1? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council for action. Questions? Mr. Lawson?
I'm going to make a motion.
Sure.
I move to approve the submittal of the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for program year 2014-15 for the City of Sparks to HUD.
Mr. Schmidt?
Second.
Moved by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Schmidt to approve 10.1, Consolidated Plan Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. Any further discussion? Sure, go ahead.
George, I just want to thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
You're very responsive whenever we ask you to check into a citizen that's having a problem, and it's really appreciated. They appreciate it too, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sharp. He looks sharp.
I try.
Cleans up pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thank you. We're not having a closed door, are we, Jeff? Okay. 13.1, comments from the public. Karen Boger, followed by Karen Jacobs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council members, do I need to push something here, or am I on?
It's on. You're on.
Okay, great. Karen Boger, I'm a retired school teacher, Washoe County, and taught primarily at schools here in Sparks, actually. And over 40 years of volunteer as a conservation activist on Nevada wildlife and public lands issues, and a board member of both the Nevada chapter of Backcountry Hunter and Anglers and the Nevada Wildlife Coalition, although I'm speaking to you as an individual. Today, as sportsmen, we provide the primary support for our Nevada Department of Wildlife, both in funds and sweat equity. And our organizations work toward maintaining healthy Nevada wildlife and habitat. And so as such, I should say, speaking for myself, I am pleased to see that there is a proposal ordinance to ban feral cat colonies. And I know I have written to you in the past and this morning on this as well, so I thought it was time for me to come in person and speak up on this, and just urging you, but since I know this was just the first reading, to give this ordinance very serious consideration between now and your next meeting, because I really believe that it is the humane thing to do. There's nothing humane about death of animals, feral animals, and that it's the right thing to do because it's proactive to address an existing problem that is right now causing some pretty severe negative impacts as well as potential negative impacts. And I won't reiterate my long and growing list of problems that I see with the continuing tacit, not approval, but allowing feral cat colonies to exist. It's my understanding that many of those opposed to this ban have a notion that we should legalize the cat colonies and initiate a trap, neuter, spay, inoculate, and re-release program with caretakers to feed the colonies. And I know this has been done in other areas of the country with varying success, but I think I pointed out to you in my long list of concerns that it really doesn't solve the primary issues with feral cats. And it is not a humane situation either. I hope that you'll urge those opposed to this ban to consider the proactive solutions, and maybe you might have some of your own too that I included in my letter, including self-contained, entirely contained sanctuary for these animals. And I would beg you to consider how people would respond. Should we have feral dog colonies running around the streets of Sparks? I think we would act on that right away, and I see this
Thank
in
you,
that
ma'am.
same vein.
Appreciate
Thank you.
your comments. Karen Jacobs?
Members of the council, Mayor Martini, City Attorney Adams, I have a further question for you, please. For me to bring a good conclusion in the next couple of weeks, and I will have a report to our city attorney over here, how many feral cats, does the city know how many feral cats are included in this ordinance, this proposed ordinance? Do you have a number?
Okay, again, this is public comment. It's not question and answer. Mr. Kronk will take your question and report to you later.
Okay, thank you. I would need that, please, sir, for me to bring a good conclusion for the next meeting.
And I've got her,
Thank you.
her name here.
I can give him a card.
Yeah, give me, please, so he'll be able to contact you. Okay, anyone else under public comment? Okay, comments from the city council and city manager. I think Mr. Kronk has something. Go ahead.
Thank you. I do have a couple of announcements to make. The following committee appointments are available. The Enterprise Fund Advisory Committee is seeking 3 members, 1 member of the residential construction industry for a 2-year term, 1 member of the commercial development industry for a 3-year term, 1 member of the construction industry for a 4-year term, and all subsequent appointments will be for 4-year terms. Applications for the membership to the Enterprise Fund Advisory Committee will be accepted until the close of business on October 16th, 2015. The other committee is the Airport Noise Advisory Committee is seeking 2 members for a 2-year term, and those applications for the Noise Advisory Committee will be accepted until the close of business on November 1st, 2015. Persons interested in serving on these committees should complete a community service application available from the city clerk's office. You may also apply online at the city's website, www.citysparks.us. Click on City Services on the webpage, then click on Volunteering, Get Involved, then click on Fill Out a City of Sparks volunteer application. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Anybody else comments? Okay, seeing no further business, we're adjourned.
I'd like to call to order the Sparks Development Agency meeting of September 28th, 2015 with a roll call.
Chairperson Ratty?
Here.
Agency members Lawson?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Martini?
Here.
Bybee?
Here.
Schmidt?
Here.
Agency Attorney Adams?
Here.
And Acting Chief Administrative Officer Jeff Kronk.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you.
Do we have any public comment?
None.
Seeing none, I'm moving on to item 4.1, approval of the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Agency Member Schmidt, seconded by Agency Member Lawson. All those in, Smith?
Smith.
Anybody have any comment or discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Consideration and item 5.1, consideration and possible approval of the minutes of the Sparks Redevelopment Agency of August 24th, 2015.
Move to approve.
Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved by Agency Member Martini, seconded by Agency Member Bybee. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 6.1, report of claims and bills approved for payment and appropriation transfers for the period of August 6, 2015 through September 9, 2015.
Second.
Moved by Agency Member Lawson, seconded by Agency Member Martini. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 7.1, comments from the public on the redevelopment agency agenda. Seeing none, any comments from the agency or chief administrative officer? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
That's a record. That's a record.